EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports as we now prep for NFL Week 5. Eagles are going to take on the Denver Broncos at home this week on 1 p.m. on Sunday. Johnny Mack, a good Thursday morning to you, sir. Plenty to talk about in Eagle land, as there always is.
Yeah. Well, there's always something with this team, and obviously yesterday turned into AJ Day as expected to a certain degree. And yeah, there were the 75 requisite TV cameras, and it was a shit show. And predictably, he scaled it back. But the real issues I think remain, and those will unfold over the coming weeks. By that I mean, I'm not surprised at all that he, tempered sort of the situation and, admitted he probably shouldn't have gone about it the way he did, that kind of stuff. That's been like sort of a repeating sort of thing. Social media, maybe, drop the phone when you're frustrated. And maybe some of these things don't pop up. But from the larger perspective, I think the bigger thing is you point out is, before we started the show, you're saying, well, AJ's the one trying to get better and trying to get this offense better. And I think there's other people. He's not the only one. I think everybody knows they're not playing at a high level, but I don't get the sense of urgency to change things. And I think that's tied to the winning, not only this year, but long-term sustained success, as Nick calls it. I heard Kelsey say, basically what I've been saying, and he was there, ever since Nick got here, forget what it looks like. This has been one of the best offenses in the NFL. Hasn't been that early this season, but it's pretty large sample size. I'm not talking just about 2024, which actually took a step back. 2021, 2022, 2023. And he also mentioned that because everybody wants to make that comparison about the collapse, said exactly what we're saying, basically, which is, look, that was the defense. The offense was fine.
Right.
Now, he did admit they had some trouble picking up the blitz late, which I think is meaningful from him. And that's been sort of a bugaboo throughout the Sirianni era. But what I say contextually, it's been one of the best offenses in football. And basically all the criticism has come to aesthetics. Well, it doesn't look good, which is fair. Sometimes it doesn't look good, but that's sort of the
pushback on the it's only aesthetic.
I didn't say it's only, but if I did, I should have said mostly. It's mostly aesthetic. The criticisms I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been critical this week, and I would say that is the least of my worries. My worries would be the highs and the lows. The lows are really low. You're looking at two halves of football where they really didn't get much production at all, and that would be my criticism. But I thought what AJ said yesterday was a great one. I think weirdly, while people might not want to admit this or might not have liked the way he did it, I weirdly think this is a great thing because like you just said, John, when you're 4-0, it's hard to look in the mirror and say you want to change things. But here's AJ saying, hey, everybody, just because we're 4-0, doesn't mean this is what we could be. We can be better than this. We should be better than this. And I think it's a good thing that he did this because, I don't know, it's a stubborn organization, John. It is a stubborn organization. So I think AJ's pushing the needle, forcing the Eagles to, try and get better. I think it's a good thing, but maybe I'm overstating it.
Well, I don't think we've had that discussion about difficult conversations. I think, and Jordan Mailata, I talked about this at length with him yesterday, is that, the one thing you can't do is relate to, oh, we won. That's not going to help you.
Right.
You gotta be honest with yourself, which I think everybody knows, and I've talked about. And I've never got the sense that they say, a lot of fans say, even I'll joke about it, and I'm not picking against the Eagles till they actually lose a game. But they've never had that sense that, oh, everything's fine because we won. I think that's why they're good. They don't have that mentality. So yeah, I never gotten that part of it. This particular, the one thing I do, and I've said it myself, and Nick verbalized it, and I'm glad he did. And that was, it'll take care of itself, the passing game, because historically that's what's happened. The numbers part of it will take care of itself. And I believe that. But, if they think that way, maybe that's not a good thing. Because they shouldn't have these low points, as you said. They shouldn't have these low points. Now, I think the high points are way overstated. They're way overrated. People have jumped to this conclusion that they should be this, they should be that. What they've always been since 2021 is a run-first offense. It just got historically good.
Would you classify 22 as a run-first offense too?
Yes. Miles had his best year in 2022. People forget he had a bad Super Bowl. Yeah. He had his best year, and he got hurt those final 2 games of the regular season. So it would have looked better if he didn't get hurt.
I guess it just, I agree with you. Like, they obviously were a run team when they had the RPOs and Miles Sanders and everything like that, but it just looks so different than last year to me that when I look back on 22, I don't think of them as run first. I think of them as extremely balanced. I mean, I know Jalen was big in the RPO run game, but he also threw for, 37 or 3,800 yards that year.
But that's the difference between 1,300-yard Miles Sanders and 2,500-yard Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, right. The extremes. But I also think they passed the ball really well in 22.
Well, again,
I mean, AJ had what, 1,500 yards?
Look, if God forbid, if Saquon gets hurt tomorrow, their passing numbers are going to look all of a sudden really good compared to what they did before. Really good. I guarantee that. Really good. I don't think people want that. I think they want that, but I don't think they want that. But yeah, I mean,
I try to not fall into the aesthetic of it, John, because I do agree with you where, sometimes you get ahead of yourself with that. But my premise, at least right now, and obviously this is going to change as the season continues to go, but my premise would be, if you're not going to have that 2,500-yard running back this year, and you're not going to have a defense that performs historically like last year's, that's where there's going to have to be more balance, in my opinion, this year, if you want to go the distance, right? Last year, they were able to defy modern football and win the way they did, but you had some very extreme variables a part of that team. If those aren't there this year, that's where I think AJ's right, that don't be blinded by the 4-0. You gotta be more versatile. You gotta be, more balanced to get there. And hey, maybe Nick's right. Maybe it just works itself out in the end, like it did last year anyway.
Yeah, I mean, well, because AJ was saying the exact same things last year. Exact same things. In fact, more people were saying it. And they won anyway.
Yeah, but right, they had those 2 things though, no?
Yeah, which makes them further emboldened to fix those things first. And they're a lot closer defensively than offensively, I would say, right now.
I agree.
And the running game, look, you can abandon the running game if you'd like, but I don't think they think that the way to go about things is to abandon Saquon Barkley.
Yeah,
I can't.
I hate the extremes, though. I obviously do not want to abandon Saquon. I just think more of a balanced approach this year as compared to last year will do the team good.
Well, by nature, if you can't run the ball as effectively, that part of it should take care of itself. And that is what I think Nick is saying. And the other part is, and it's true. It is true. sometimes when you're struggling, and it's funny to call a 4-0 team struggling, football has a funny way of binding, like, your left tackle gets hurt and all of a sudden Myles Garrett is on the schedule, or, something like that happens, or, you lose a couple receivers and then Patrick Surtain is on the schedule. It just always seems weird to bind that way. And you get really, really tested. So early in the season, obviously, they play the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City, and we can talk about their ineffectiveness offensively, but it's a good defense, even though, especially playing there, it's a good defense. The LA Rams might have the best defensive front in football, and Tampa Bay has a defensive coordinator and defense that has historically given the Eagles all kinds of trouble. And here you got Denver coming in, who's good defensively. The Giants, who are terrible offensively, but have a chance to be good defensively. Minnesota, same thing. Terrible quarterback situation, but have a good defense. It's funny how it works. It's like, at some point that's going to lighten up, and it might lighten up, but the Giants may have figured out by that point that, their season's over again and start to lose some of the luster. And they're not good. I wouldn't call them good. I think they're potentially good defensively. So it might start as early as that. But you do have to take into the effect that they've arguably faced 3 of the top 10 defenses in football early in the season. And they're going to face another one this week. And they might face another one whenever that Minnesota game is.
Yeah,
and that's tough when you're trying to figure things out.
Yeah, I get it. It just feels like there should never be a 0 completion half or a 0 yard half. And
well, there shouldn't. There absolutely shouldn't.
Even right, no matter how good I don't care. I don't care if they're playing the number 1 overall defense.
Yeah, there's no argument about that. There shouldn't. There absolutely, in the modern NFL, there absolutely shouldn't be. And again, nobody's going to talk about it, but I do think Jalen was kind of loopy.
Yeah, I agree.
After getting hit.
Especially after rewatching that thing. He looked real loopy getting up.
And I think that played a large part into that. But yeah, it's never, if he's not effective enough to complete a pass, but do you want to put in Tanner McKee? That creates a whole bunch of stuff. It's especially if he plays well. Boy, could you imagine that controversy, by the way? If he did leave for a half and Tanner McKee comes in and lights up the place throwing the football.
Oh, gosh.
Could you imagine that?
That would be a controversy. People talk about conversations people might not be ready for. That's not a conversation that people are ready for. John, real quick, though, as we continue to talk about AJ, we're going to get into a bunch of things today. We'll talk a little bit about Nakobe Dean, who was activated, who's opened up his practice window yesterday. An Eagles young defender gets a first-time award, so we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll have Chris Franklin on in hour number 2. I want to welcome and thank everybody for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button for us. Sasha, thanks for the super chat. We'll get to all of our super chats today. Appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here on Birds 365. John, just going a little deeper too, I know obviously the big story was just kind of him putting out the fire, but I really love listening to AJ Brown speak. He really does give you some good good information. There was no surface level answers yesterday, especially after he got out that the initial statement. I thought he spoke well about the offense. I thought he articulated himself very clearly, and it made a whole lot of sense to me. I don't know if it made sense to everybody, but it made a whole lot of sense to me. And I think he is, I know this is a weird way to do it, but I think this was in a way leadership for a team that has so much potential, so much talent. And when you're 4-0, it's easy to fall into the trap of we don't have to change anything. I thought AJ Brown pushed the needle on the right things, and it will make the Eagles offense better because of it.
Yeah, well, I don't know about the second part, I mean, that to me has to do more about execution, which bores everybody because, again, I turn back to last year. He was saying the exact same things, and that was the problem. That's the problem this time, And he said basically, he used the phrase, "I let my frustrations boil it over." Paraphrasing, boil over. Well, his frustrations didn't start this year. They started last year, and they were evident throughout, most notably the Carolina game, but evident throughout. Um, so that part, this has already been said. This has already been given to people's attention, not only by AJ Brown, but Devontae Smith. And by the way, we got to talk about Devontae Smith because all the talk about AJ Brown's got more targets than Devontae Smith. For those who don't know, he's not getting the football either.
Yeah.
He's not happy either.
Which is why I did think at some point, is AJ speaking up for more than just himself? You know what I mean? Like, I love, some people always say to me, well, look at Devontae. He doesn't go to social media. And I'm like, that's not ever going to be Devontae. He comes from that Saban school, like Jalen. They don't give you a lot in the media.
I was quoting Jalen said the same thing last year. Like, this is not new. The only thing I would criticize AJ, and it's not even a criticism, was, he gave sort of an opening statement. He said, my message on Twitter, which is X, so that part I will correct now, the X platform, wasn't directed at anyone in the building, and of course not my quarterback. Now, I'm not saying it was directed, but to say it's not directed at anybody in the building, I mean, come on, dude.
Well, come on, let's be real. That's Eagles PR team, though, John.
Yeah, well, of course, but and you're getting. I mean, that part's just not. It's just not realistic. But from the standpoint of the frustrations, like, they've been here. They're not the boiling over part is not through 3 weeks, not through 4 weeks of this season. It's been going on for a long time. And it's just gotten worse because the offense was better last year and you had the games where and things took care of itself at times, as Nick would say. And Nick still believes they will take care of itself, and he's probably right, to be honest, which I still believe. But the problem is, and I've said it pretty consistently, is the Carolina game and the Baltimore game. They're happening early in the season, right in a row. Like, you didn't have early in the season last year. Remember, you came out throwing like a madman in Brazil against Green Bay, and you had a bunch of turnovers, and they shifted gears. So really, we're talking about since week 5 last season, right. Game 5, week 6. Last season till now, which is where all the winning started, and they scaled everything back. And we've talked ad nauseum about, are they too cautious? Are they too risk averse? I think they are. I think AJ thinks they are. I don't think Jalen trusts. It's not even. I have to frame it a different way. It's not even that he doesn't trust the receivers, because he trusts AJ, trusts Devontae, trusts Dallas at least. But I don't know if he I think the problem is he doesn't trust that the ball won't get turned over, because when you throw the ball in tight windows, anything can happen.
And every window in the NFL is a tight window.
Well, not every, but most. And that's where the tip balls happen. That's where the Kelsey plays happen. And all of a sudden, you got an interception in the middle of the field. And I think it's been hammered into his head, not only from the Eagles, in his personal life as well. It's been hammered because his dad's a quarterback coach. I think it's been hammered into his head. Saban, you brought up. Probably not so much Lincoln Riley, and that's his obviously best college season. I think it's been hammered in his head for so long that it's almost like you gotta reprogram, and I don't know if we're going to reprogram at this stage.
Yeah, well, we'll see how they continue to evolve or what they do coming off of this. I guess it's being optimistic that I'd like to think this will make the team better, but it is what it is. We'll see how they continue to move forward. I thought AJ's comments yesterday were great. You know what, John? Maybe I'm off base in saying this, and I know a lot of people won't agree with me. I don't even have a problem that he went to Twitter. I really don't. Because I don't think people understand the complexity of this organization when it comes to their ego, right? And they're entitled to have it. They're 20-1, like that. But I've always thought the Eagles organization have this sense of, you know, I don't want to be told what to do. I don't want to be. We do it right, and that might exist in the echo chamber of the 20-1 Eagles, and AJ's. Who sounds like he was saying things in the 3 weeks leading up to the tweet. At least that's the way he worded it or made it seem that he was saying things and wasn't being listened to. Well, he goes to Twitter. Bob Lang's got a fire to put out. All right, Bob, you're going to have to do some extra heavy lifting this week. And now we're addressing the problems on the offense. I don't know. I thought that from that perspective, it wasn't a bad thing.
Well, I don't think it's a good thing when you have to put out those fires, but I'm look, it's a reality. But here's from seeing AJ go through this kind of stuff in real time multiple times. This is not the first time. He goes to X or Instagram or social media. He which is his right. Nobody's saying it's not his right. I mean, that it's certainly, I'm not going to criticize him for that. He says something that he ultimately regrets. And then he comes back 2 days later. And he takes accountability, full accountability, says basically, I shouldn't have done it. So I don't know. Is that a regret or is he bullshitting? I think he's telling the truth.
Look, there is the natural balance of the PR staff who's telling him, basically how he has to handle this because they've had to deal with it all week.
Well, forget about the PR staff. The head coach is telling him. The organization is telling him. I mean,
part of me believes AJ's too intentional to put something on Twitter after the game without knowing what the ramifications would be. I think he went through the risk assessment of what he was doing and said, this is worth it because we got to fix this offense. That was my thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm way off, but that's still how I look at it.
Well, I think he regrets it. So I do think he's media savvy. He should have realized what was going to happen.
That's what I mean. I refuse to believe he didn't know what was going to happen.
But, your frustration is frustration. I let my frustrations boil over. Maybe if he spoke after the game, for instance, maybe they boil over there and it's over. And maybe it's manifested in a less harmful way, I guess. At the end of the day, sometimes I chuckle how we talk about football. It's not the end of the world, it's football. But, for creating angst and things like that, there's certainly, he certainly understands there's a better way to go about it. But,
am I way off base in speaking about the stubbornness of the organization?
No, not way off base. I mean, they think they figured it out. They think,
yeah, right.
Don't turn it over.
I don't even say that as a critical nature. I say it as when you're AJ Brown though, and you believe things should be better or different on offense.
It was last week.
Way to get through is create the firestorm that he created. I don't know. I don't know if they listen to him because they're like, "Hey AJ, we're 4-0. I got you, brother, but sit down and shut up." I don't know if they say that. I don't know what goes on.
Well, I don't think they say sit down and shut up, but I think figuratively, maybe they think that. I think, I asked Nick, I think it was last week, might have been 2 weeks ago. When you hear the word creativity, what's your what pops into your mind? And I felt like if he were off to the side, he'd say, a couple curse words and say, I don't give a shit what these people think. Look at us. That's my sentiment. Obviously, he gave the politically correct answer, but again, top 10 offense, top 10 offense, top 10 offense, top 10 offense, and we'll see where this one. It's not starting well, but that's where he's been. There's 32 teams. Bunch of them described as creative that have more ups and downs. Now, a lot of that is talent. No doubt. But yeah, I mean, they bought into this win at all costs mentality, and they think this is the best way to win. And I think a lot of people say, well, they think the best way to win is Saquon. I think they think the best way to win is to not turn the football over. Period. At all. And they've turned it over.
It's just such an odd way to play when you have a team as talented as this. Like, I get it. I think, but you could say that about almost every level of football, where you don't turn the football over, you give yourself a better chance. The part of getting great players is there's a
lot of times, like, people think innovation, like, people have a wrong definition of innovation. They think they think newness is innovation, or they think youth is innovation automatically. Maybe innovation in this category is taking it to a level it's never been seen before. And the fact that they've turned it over 9 times in 21 games. And everybody else is saying, well, we can't play like that. We can't play like that, but for different reasons. And part of this is a public facing industry, and PR is a big part of it.
Yeah, right.
And nobody wants to watch this direct sometimes. And that seeps into it. And they're trying to win outside the margins. What are we doing? What are we doing that makes us win 20 of 21? And they got all these analytics people, and they got all that. And it boils down to they don't turn the football over. That's what it boils down to. And it's not just Saquon. It's not just run first. You have a quarterback who is very, very, and I said this coming out of 2023, and people can archive our shows. And how many times did I say in that offseason, Jalen Hurts is his history says he's very good at ball security. It will revert back to normal. I said the same thing about Dak Prescott. Now, it did revert back to normal, but they took it even a stage further by becoming more conservative. And I think the two things don't mesh. Nick says they do mesh at times. I don't think they mesh. If you're going to be this conservative, you're going to struggle offensively at times.
Right. I mean, it's 3rd and 12, and they don't even try. That's how much they want to be conservative. That's what I don't like about it. I think they're good enough to impose their will more than they think. I feel like this is a way to play where you just almost, okay, don't turn the ball. It's almost like passive in a way to me. It's like, be aggressive. You got great players.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe passive is innovative. People don't think of it that way.
Do you think it's innovative?
I think they are winning to a point to where I have a hard time
denying it,
criticizing what they're doing.
That's fair.
I mean, it's absurd how much they win in a league based on parity. Like, I don't think fans I think when you're in the moments, you don't understand what's going on. And years from now, people will look at, my God, they won 20 of 21 games,
Right.
20 of 21 NFL games. They've gone an entire season. Imagine if they started in week 1 and finished up, and they were the second team in history. Well, third team, the Patriots didn't finish. You got to finish to go undefeated. Like, how would that be perceived? Well, they've done that. They've gone through a full NFL season undefeated. It is fucking phenomenal.
Right. From your eye, though, how much difference do you see in the 4 wins this year as compared to the run that they had as a part of last season? Because it is 2 different teams, as the Eagles have said openly themselves.
Well, this year's more impressive because they haven't run the football effectively, and the
But is that
defense.
margin even smaller, you know?
Well, the margin's always small, but yeah, in theory, it's smaller.
Feels like it's now like
Well, it was that small last year. People just didn't realize it.
It's a split hair right now, John. A CD drop, a blocked field goal. And again, I'm not playing the coulda, shoulda game. I mean, we're 4-0. That's the reality. They keep figuring out ways to win, but I don't know. I mean, AJ said it yesterday. He literally said, let me find the quote because I don't want to say it off. He says, "We have a lot of talent on offense, and to be honest, defense and special teams have been low-key carrying us." Thought that was a good quote because I think that's what most fans see as well. That's the real truth, I think, about what the team is right now. You know? So they've like taken the turnover thing, which you're right. I mean, it's near impossible. You get that to dispute that because they have the success they're having. But at the end of the day, an offense that's this high powered, that has this much, investment into it, you're relying on defense and special teams and barely squeaking over, 130 yards of passing.
Well,
yards.
I think.
I wonder what Jeffrey Lurie thinks. I really do. I'd love to talk to him.
So would I. So let me know if you can get that.
Yeah, right.
I would love.
Yeah, right.
I would love to know what he thinks. But yeah. Because I've heard that a lot, and I've even heard it from people in the locker room that that Jordan said it. Which is basically what you said. They're leaning, and right now, Jordan said the defense and special teams are carrying us. And again, I think that's how 99% of the people are going to look at it. And I think from the standpoint of conventional, sort of thinking, conventional wisdom, that's 100% true. Where it doesn't factor in is, but they never turn the football over. And when they do, like they turned it over, the fumble against the Rams, it's almost like a shock in the stadium when they turn it over.
I know that is true. We have gotten so used to them not turning the ball over.
And it's almost like a hush. It's like, oh my God, they had a turnover.
All right, so let me pose this then to you, because you're right, and I understand it. I'm just trying to ask the questions to uncover it and elevate the conversation, as you always say. Is 5 straight 3-and-outs in the second half worth not pushing the ball at all and maybe risking a turnover in one of those drives? But
well, I think their way of looking at it is, first of all, no, but their way of thinking at it is, well, that's the outlier. The 5 3-and-outs is the
right.
outlier.
I guess, and they'd be right about that. But you could also point, they've had 2 halves this year that have been almost historically unproductive.
Yeah, they've been pretty ugly.
Crazy, like
almost
not believable.
And the 5 3-and-outs, and I think that's where they look at themselves. And I tried to ask a question. Of course, they didn't answer it. But at what point do you try to get a layup? To use that NBA comparison. All right, your jumper's not falling. Just go get a layup and get some confidence back. Swing pass, something to get a completion. That I think they can. I think it's fair to say there's no wiggle room. They can get better at stuff like that.
Right.
And I think they should, and I think they will. But yeah, I think that's an outlier. And that's how they would look at it. But when you see the dichotomy, so I get it from the fan. Well, you're so good in the first half. Why can't that carry over? But that part's also like, not to these extremes, but that literally you can just, if the Eagles are playing on a Thursday night or a Monday night and you have time to watch football, and don't even watch football. If younger people, short attention span, whatever, put on Red Zone and watch how games shift. Team gets up 14, 17, and watch how they shift because of the natural circumstance and natural momentum of the game. Now, it could go 2 directions. Like I said, if you have really bad teams, they might give up and you have blowouts, 40-10 games, whatever. But a lot of teams, especially good teams, if they're having a bad day early and they get down 17, I guarantee they're making a run. I guarantee it. Again, NBA comparison. The run is coming. Can you handle it, and can you turn it away? Usually really good teams are able to handle it and turn it away. But the run is coming. And that's throughout the league. That's not Eagles centric. That is throughout the league. And that's why I say watch Red Zone. Scott Hansen calls it the witching hour. Everybody's coming back. It's crazy. And it's like, why didn't they do that in the first quarter? Well, it's not that they're not trying. Circumstances in the game change your philosophy. And it might be as simple as a blown coverage. Like those 77-yard touchdown, I believe it was. Like, that's a throw Baker Mayfield shouldn't even make from the standpoint. That's a brutal throw. Let's be honest. You're throwing it. Reed Blankenship is firing over. He just misses it. Andrew McCuba's in a position, but he didn't track the ball. That is a brutal throw from a quarterback standpoint.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yep.
And it goes through, and you get a big match. Well, if you don't try that because you say, "Oh, this is a brutal throw," I'm gonna.
Right. If you don't risk it for the biscuit, yeah.
You never know it existed. So, I mean, when you're desperate, you make more of those things. You do more of those things. And when you're not, obviously, you're more cautious. The Eagles haven't been in a position where they've had to do a lot of those risky things.
Right.
But so it all factors in. But yeah, I mean, overall, their offense is everything it's said that people say. It's not pretty. It's not creative. But, maybe it's more innovative than you think if you use the true definition of innovative. Because I asked somebody in the organization, because everybody in this league, you can watch every head coach. You can watch every head coach talk about it, and they'll talk about turnovers because it's such an obvious, important part of the game. And so, I asked a couple different people, what does this team do differently than everybody else? Because everybody talks about it, but nobody has this success. And when I said, everybody stresses it, I got a little pushback. And I said, yeah, I don't know if that's true. And they didn't say that. They don't press it to the degree that the Eagles do. So yesterday on Twitter, we showed up in first of all these sort of banners and fathead-like things are all throughout the building with ball security little nuggets on it. At practice, they go through these circuits before the actual practice starts, and 90% of them are dealing with ball security, whether it's taking care of the football, they run through the car wash, they do all that stuff. They got Jamal Singleton with the boxing glove, trying to punch the football out, or they have these drills where they try to strip the football. They try to strip the football when a guy is going down to the ground because they found out.
I'm really good at that. Those little punches. Yep.
They practice that every single day. They practice those peanut punches every time they're out there, stripping the football when they're going down, when they're getting up. They found that's remember the Quez Watkins fumble a couple of years ago. That's when players are susceptible to get the ball away from their body and you can maybe punch it out or strip it out. They do it more than anybody else. Maybe that's the innovative part.
Boil it down to as simplistic as you can get. You win with the 31st ranked offense. That's why I'd love to talk to Jeffrey Lurie, man. I don't know. You're not wrong there, John. It's hard to dispute, man. I hear you. Appreciate everybody for being here this morning. We'll take a couple super chats on this topic as well. So appreciate all of you guys. I also want to talk about Nakobe Dean today. We're going to talk a little bit about Quinyon Mitchell, who got his first, his first weekly award, got NFC Defensive Player of the Week for Quinyon Mitchell. So good award for him. And we'll continue to kind of kick around the Eagles topics here today. Let's go to our super chats today. Sasha says, what I didn't hear much about this week is that Steen and Lane out of the lineup in the second half, with the banged up Landon and Juergens contributing to the bad offense. Well, that certainly contributed.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, though, I think there's a level of spoiledness to that because the offensive line play throughout the league is at catastrophic level. And, injuries throughout the league are also accumulating, which is, similar. So other teams are dealing with it far more than the Eagles are. Now, last year, they had one of the best offensive lines in NFL history. I truly believe that. This year, they don't, but they still have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. So, you have to persevere with what you do have. And the tackles are still playing at a very high level. Now, Lane has not been able to finish a couple games, so you have to keep an eye on that. The interior, Cam struggled against Vita Bea, but that I think if he's 100% healthy, he's probably going to struggle against Vita Bea, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, right.
Landon is the guy that's clearly had a decline that I think is related to his injuries, not because the guy's been, if not the best guard, certainly in the conversation. He's not playing like that early. And then Tyler Steen is a first-time starter, and I think he's been better than I expected. So, does he have to get better? Yeah, of course. But I expected more troubles than I've seen, to be honest. So I think he's actually a little bit better than I expected.
Where do you think the biggest issue right now in the O-line is? Is it Landon?
Yeah, I think it's Landon from the perspective of how good he was versus how he's playing right now.
Right.
Which is a dramatic difference that I think is totally related to injuries.
Do you think at 4-0, John, there's any merit to the thought process of maybe resting Landon for a couple of weeks? I know we talked about that early, and you're like, you can't do that. You got to make it to January. I understand that perspective, but you are 4-0. You've created a little bit of a buffer. I'm not saying to go out and lose a football game, but I don't know what's better. Like, ideally, I'd love to have Landon healthy. I know that's a perfect world and not as easy to do as it is that I'm saying, but do you think there's any thought process on that in the organization right now?
No, I think they're pretty consistent. I mean, it's the old hurt injured conversation. If he's injured, they'll sit him. If he's hurt, he'll play through it and they'll play him because he's their best option. So, even hurt, he's their best option. So, Vic Fangio busted out a Bud Grant quote the other day, and I love Bud Grant. Pat just recently passed away, but one of my favorite Bud Grant quotes was about Mick Tingelhoff, who was a Hall of Fame center who played an absurd amount of straight games. It was like 240 something. At the time, it was, I think, the second most in football to his teammate. But anyway, they were talking about the depth chart and said the depth chart was Tingelhoff and then Tingelhoff hurt, meaning he was the backup. Which I thought was phenomenal. And I think Bud said that. It might have been the off. I'll try to find out if I can. But I think it was Bud. Vic brought up Bud, so I was thinking about him. And that was one of the great quotes. And that's how I feel like the Eagles depth chart is. Landon Dickerson and then Dickerson hurt at left guard. I think the same thing. And that's sort of the NFL. That's what the NFL is. If you got a really good player, and they're tough and they're physical and they play through stuff, you play them.
Yeah.
They're not injured. If they're injured, then they're injured. If you tear your triceps, you can't play. If you tear your ACL, you can't play. That's injuries where you literally can't play.
Right. Makes sense. Rich, not John. I'm going to bring this comment up. Not a super chat, Rich, but we do appreciate the comment because this is, I think, what John was alluding to with the innovation comment, which is an interesting way to look at it. He says, innovation equals solving a problem differently than it has been solved before. The fact that no one plays like they do is a sign that they innovate by definition.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, people don't understand, not everyone, some people do, as Rich points out. Some people don't understand what the definition of innovation, and they just relate to, well, that's new, so that's innovative. Well, there's a lot of shitty new ideas that are not innovative.
It's so funny, though, because it's like, boy, we talk about the complexities of football, the complexities, the offenses and motion and schemes and formations and all these different things. And it's like, yeah, we're going to run inside zone into an 8-man box. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we'll punt it. No matter how many 3-and-outs we have. As long as we don't turn it over, we're going to win. And they've proven they're right. It's like they've simplified this game down so much, and it's working.
But to the point of the definition, innovation is always new, but everything new is not innovative. That's what people have to understand. Right. The new part of this is that nobody has taken it to the level that they have. So when you think about it, and that's their belief that nobody, as I said, and I've asked multiple people in the organization about that. And they are, because I've been in a lot of Eagles practices with other coaches, and I've been a lot of NFL practices outside this organization. And I've never, even in two-a-days, because I'm old, I have never seen a team spend as much time on ball security than the Philadelphia Eagles, or taking it away, both of them combined. I have never seen it before. And I've been in a lot of NFL practices.
Yeah.
And not even close, to be honest.
Well, it's working for them. Well, we got a bunch more super chats. Appreciate you guys for being here this morning. Good conversation here today. Jason A-Team says, J-Mac, thoughts on WrestleMania 43 in Saudi Arabia? Ooh, quick, different change of pace here.
Well, I think, if you'll note, I mean, the Saudis have more money than God.
Yeah, they do.
They're getting over 200 million, I'm told, for one event. So, I mean, it's a business. I got a lot of people, have moral issues, but if you look at, Saquon got the question because they're doing a big flag football game with Tom Brady. And again, Tom Brady to come out of retirement. That's how much money they're spending. Saquon's going to be involved. And you have this weird, ecosystem of people. And again, it's social media who have these moral, and they sit back and judge, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. And by all means, Saudi Arabia's history with human rights is what it is. But look, when you're talking about a business, and a business pays you, their job is to make money for their stockholders, and nobody's turning down that deal. That's a government issue. So if the United States has a list of countries that companies are allowed to do business with, and they are not allowed, they have a list that you're not allowed to do business with. If you're on that list where you can do business, companies are going to do business.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, welcome to the business world.
But there's this weird tribal. It's sort of like NFL fans. Like, Eagles fans hate Cowboys fans. Packers fans hate Bears fans. Raiders fans hate Broncos fans. Yada yada yada. In every division, you have these rivalries. It's very tribalistic between this weirdo group of WWE fans and AEW. But the funny thing is, like, WWE is like the Yankees or the Lakers or the Cowboys, and AEW is like the UFL team. But you have this weird small contingent of people, and then they'll go up, well, they wouldn't take that deal. They would take that deal in a millisecond.
Yeah.
in a millisecond. It's never going to be offered, so they feel emboldened to say, well, human rights, my favorite team wouldn't take that money. Whereas for your favorite team, you'd be making more money in one day than their entire TV rights deal gives them for a year. You don't think they're going to take that deal? And I know Tony Khan, and he's a good businessman. He's not a dummy. He's taking that deal. So anyway.
Sasha R checks in. What's up, Sasha? For anyone who calls AJ a diva and a complainer, find me a receiver whose entire career was with run-heavy schemes and still a professional. Titans and Birds. You're right. There's no doubt, man. And he's as talented as he is, too. It does not surprise me at all that AJ Brown sometimes gets frustrated. It doesn't surprise me in the slightest. The dude is one of the best receivers I've ever seen, especially in Eagles green. And he just, he takes it on the chin the way they play, man. He really does.
I've talked about that a lot with AJ over the years, and he admits, he always gives the sheepish smile. He admits he was like a younger me had more difficulty. Like this is him having less difficulty. Like he's used to it because of Derrick Henry, now Saquon. And yeah, he handles it better than most. Could you imagine if some of these other receivers played in this? And Devontae deserves credit for this.
Oh my gosh, Devontae deserves credit too.
Can you imagine horrible what happened to Tyreek Hill? And I hope he's okay and can come back. But can you imagine if Tyreek Hill played in this offense?
Imagine Jamar Chase. I mean, he was blowing up at their coach on the sideline the other night, and he's got Jake Browning throwing him the football.
I mean, Stephon Diggs. I mean,
they would go nuts. All of them. They would not be able to handle it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And here AJ is with the 31st ranked offense, just trying to make it a little bit better, and everybody wants to hate on him for it. I get it. We're 4-0.
I think he's got a lot of supporters too.
I do too, especially inside the room, but we'll see. Kimberly checks in. What's up, Kimberly? She says they're brainwashing Hurts out of his God-given talent. AJ is the most complete receiver.
Well, he better start with his own dad, to be honest.
I am more upset with Jalen Carter's immaturity and behavior. Well, that's a separate point. I guess you're a Georgia fan, Kimberly, so you're upset with Jalen Carter. But what do you mean about Jalen's dad? You just think he's given Jalen the same type of...
Yes. I think he has been. That's why I said it reverts back to the Eagle. It reverts back to the Eagle. Nick Saban, his father. He has been, except for Lincoln Riley, who's more of a high flying guy, but no, it's no use comparing college to pros. But obviously, just from an individual, he was runner up for the Heisman. For those who don't know, when he transferred to Oklahoma, he's throwing the football all over the place. In his final college season, other than Lincoln Riley, he has always had this sort of stringent voice in his life that says, don't turn the ball over, don't turn the ball over, don't turn the ball over. And then it kind of bit him in the ass at Alabama when they said, oh, we're not as explosive, so we're going to go with the guy who's explosive.
We need to go win a game.
So I think it's been going on for a long time. And then the Eagles obviously have doubled down on it. When they tried to, loosen the leash early last season, and they thought they were turning the football over too much. And then it got tightened back up. But it starts way before that, I think. Where he's always had this, because that's how his father approaches playing the position as well. And, they're all probably right.
Yeah. The thing I hate about it is I've seen Jalen just throw the ball sometimes so well, like the 2 Super Bowls. I mean, the 22 season, I know you called it run first, but at the end of the day, he still threw the ball really well that year. So that's why I don't like this approach that the only way to do this is how they did it last year. I think there can be a hybrid or a different approach while still keeping your same philosophies, at large.
Yeah, well, I think, and Nick has said he's got so many cliches, but one of the cliches is, If we need to run it 40 times, we'll run it 40 times. If we need to throw it 40 times, we'll throw it 40 times. They've won every conceivable way over this span since 2020. They've won every conceivable. So yes, they've won. They've won throwing the football. They've won running the football. They've won because of the defensive touchdowns, special teams touchdowns.
Right.
They've won every
The foundation remains the same, and the way it's done sometimes can tumbleweed.
That's the circumstance of the game, and
Right.
that's what he's talking about. Sometimes you're going to have the circumstance of the game demand that you throw the football, and they've thrown it effectively at times. And sometimes it's not, and sometimes it gets ugly. But they've won every conceivable way. I don't think anybody says he can't throw the football. And I certainly know there's a difference between, the talking heads, like myself, but even more so nationally, and the people in the industry. Like, the people in the industry are in love with the guy. I mean, his mentality is his, I point you to these little segments where Spagnuolo talks about him. And it's like, basically, you do everything right, and he's still breaking your back with making a play on third down. You get so much of that from people in the, like, I think, and I'm out on an island because I haven't gotten anybody to agree with me. I think the way the Eagles opponents have approached beating them is stopping Jalen Hurts, not stopping Saquon Barkley, even though they have stopped Saquon Barkley. I think the approach has been pin him in the pocket with the blitz, don't let him escape. Now, a lot of people aren't effective with that.
Right.
Dallas
It's harder, easier said than done.
Easier said than done. But I think when it does work, you see it. And I think that's plan A, not plan B. I think that blitz has also affected the Eagles' running game because that's just the nature of aggressive, penetrating football. You see all these tackles for loss because they're penetrating so quickly. And Saquon's going to get hit in the backfield. So they're very cognizant on both. But my only point to that is the Eagles faced a shitload of heavy boxes last year when they ran for 2,504 yards. So the people who say, well, look at the heavy boxes, that hasn't changed. The other aspect has changed. So I think there's a very big disconnect between people who talk about the game and people in the game when it comes to Jalen Hurts. Because I don't think there's a lack of respect for Jalen Hurts around this league at all.
You've consistently said that too. Sasha R checks in again. Sasha, thanks for the super chats today, brother. He says, isn't it safe to say we are 4-0 against 4 possible playoff teams this year? I think that's pretty safe to say. Cowboys, you could probably.
Yeah, I don't think the Cowboys are a playoff team, but yeah, everybody else is, or certainly potential. I mean, things can always go wrong. But yeah, I think they face 3 of the top 10 defenses in the NFL through 4 games, which the NFL has a way of doing that. When you're struggling at something, oh, here's a good defense. Here's a good defense. Here's a good. And next up, Denver. They have 2 great edge rushers, great defensive front, maybe the best cornerback in football, even though he's not playing like it quite yet. Here's your next test. And they're good defensively. Now, I think Bick's going to put Bo Nix in a blender, but defensively, they're good.
Yeah. Simo Mob checks in and says, Jalen has gotten so much better at the line of scrimmage. He is smarter than what sports media lets on. Just need to be given competent answers for different looks.
Yeah,
they diminish him a little bit, I guess, because he doesn't throw the ball a lot.
Well, I don't think there's a lot of people that know what's going on at the line. To be perfectly honest,
I think you're 100% right.
Nick actually gave a very good explanation what I think is a big problem in the NFL. And that's getting up to the line of scrimmage quickly. Not just the Eagles. I think it's a problem throughout the league. And I've been talking about it for people that have been paying attention. Basically, these quarterbacks are getting to the line of scrimmage too late, and they don't have time to get out of bad looks into good looks. There's this new mentality of take it up to 15 seconds is when the communication between the coaches and the quarterback ceases. And there's this mentality with the younger coaches, especially with younger quarterbacks, take it up to that 15 seconds. Now, some do it differently. They keep it in the huddle, and that's worse. That's even worse. Some let them get to the line of scrimmage and talk to them through it, which it's the lesser of two evils because it's more of a college approach. Like if you watch college football, you'll see the quarterback. A lot of teams run tempo in college. A lot of teams,
Yeah,
you'll see the quarterback go up to the line and look at the defense and then step away and look at the sideline for the coach to tell him what to do because the coach is reading the defense from. And by the way, if you're going to do that, go up in the booth. But it's hard to do in college because you have to signal it in. But because you can't see, these guys' egos are out of control. Offensive play callers. So in my opinion, you should be working tirelessly to make sure your quarterback can do it at the line of scrimmage and get them up there as quickly as humanly possible. And Jordan Mailata talked about it. That's why Nick got the question that they haven't had an urgency to get up to the line of scrimmage. Now, a lot of people say, well, Kevin Patullo's getting the play in early. So getting the play in too late. And Nick went through everything that goes into it. Remember, this isn't 40 seconds or 25 seconds if it's a stop clock. This is in 40 seconds. So first, Kevin's got to say what the personnel is. What are they running? 11, 12, 13, 21, yada, yada, yada. Then the assistants have to get the right, they're the people responsible to getting the right people in are the position coaches. So they have to make sure the right personnel is on the field. Then you have to call the play to the quarterback, which is basically a two-way play, which is you're going to have a dominant, maybe it's inside zone versus a less dominant play, which is the passing play off of it. And that basically is the kill concept or the can concept. So he calls the play. Then Jalen has to give the play inside the huddle. And everyone obviously then has to line up exactly where they're supposed to do without any hesitation, as he said. So that takes more communication. And by that time, you have to be at the line of scrimmage, set, ready to go. And that's where Jalen Hurts has to look over, see what's going on. And then if it's a run play and all of a sudden you're running into a heavy box, you might want to kill it to the pass player or vice versa. And you have to communicate that out. All while that's happening, Cam Jurgens and Jalen Hurts also have to slide protection to the proper set if they expected something different. Because remember, as Tom Brady said, all you're doing as a play caller is basically calling betting odds. Say they run this 70% of the time on 3rd and 7. So we think they're in this. And then they come out with something else and you have to change it. All of that has to happen in 40 seconds. All of that has to happen in 40 seconds. So it ain't easy. But it has become a problem in the NFL. And I think the problem isn't with the quarterbacks. Well, it is, but the problem is they're not being trained right to handle things at the line of scrimmage. And the bigger problem is the ego of these play callers. And I'm not saying Kevin's in that list because there are far worse who think they're better prepared. Like one thing I always hated about Chip Kelly, he did not want a quarterback like Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. And to me, if you're not striving to get that quarterback,
right.
I don't want any part of you. Get out. If anybody out there in the super chats want to give me $13 billion and I could buy an NFL franchise,
YouTube takes half of them, John. So you're going to need like 22 billion.
All right, 20. So that Elon Musk, if you're out there and you want to give me $22 billion,
well, if you get it off super chat, then 13 should do it.
Yeah. So 13 or so. I would never hire a coach like that. I want somebody to train the quarterback so he can do things at the line of scrimmage. But that's just not the modern NFL.
I know, and it's hard too because they're starting at a different level coming out of college, as you just pointed out. You know, they're coming into the league used to looking over at the sideline and their coach is telling them what to do. It's a much different game, man. It really is. So, all right, good stuff, everybody. Appreciate it. Simo, good super chat. Okay. One more super chat. Charles Menifee says, have you seen any mental impacts from winning the Super Bowl? Good question.
No, not really. I saw that in 2018. They put up a Super Bowl 52 sort of championship logo in the locker room back then. And, I remember at some point Malcolm Jenkins, who was obviously the defensive leader, one of the biggest leaders on the team, said, take that shit down, because they were just not, they started with the whole new normal stuff and we're the new Patriots and yada, yada, yada. And they were kind of feeling themselves and they just weren't playing well. And, at some point he said, take that shit down. They did. I don't get that with this group. If anything, I think, again, we'll go back to AJ's explanation of winning the Super Bowl, very similar to Jalen's, by the way. It's like, all right, what's next, basically? They didn't feel the way they thought they'd feel, which is, I think, pretty common with high-level athletes, actually, because I think for them it's more about the day-to-day process of it, the challenge of it. Like I think, and AJ said it, so like when he was explaining his thought process after the Super Bowl, he was like, I didn't feel the way, and I'm paraphrasing, I didn't feel the way that others thought, that I was taught to feel. I didn't feel that way, And he said, I get more out of dominating the guy against me. I get more out of, imposing my will on, and I think that's part of his frustration because he wants to impose his will and dominate the guy opposite of him. He gets more out of that. And some people took that the wrong way and called him selfish or whatever. But yeah,
I'm saying what Jalen Hurts says. The process is more important than the result. You do each thing each day and the result comes,
Well, because they know it ultimately, again, it doesn't matter except for Bill Russell and Yogi Berra. Those are the only two I can think of in major sports. You're going to lose more. You're going to lose your last game more than you're going to win your last game. Okay. So if you're super obsessed with this is worthless unless I'm standing at the end, you're never going to become a great player. Because the odds are stacked against you, to say the least. So even for people talking about Tom or Michael Jordan, they lost their last game a hell of a lot more than they won it.
Right.
And people go the literal fashion. Well, sometimes you win your last regular season game, but you're not in the playoffs. Yeah, I'm not talking about that for those assholes.
Yeah.
I
know what
you get the point. Everybody gets the point. But yeah, anyway, so this
is a good combo. We had a good combo at the start of the show here today, John. The thing that I guess this is just kind of the business minded, I always love that. I've always been interested in that stuff. The business mind in me has to wonder. That's why I brought up Jeffrey Lurie earlier, because I'm like, everything you said makes a lot of sense. All right. Doesn't mean I agree with it all, but everything you said makes a lot of sense from the Eagles' approach standpoint. At what point do they just think, all right, well, why are we paying this money to all these guys if this is how we want to play ball? You know,
Well,
is
that's
that
where you
how
have
they
to
do
give
it,
Jet
or is it just like, hey, they
that's
all go into it? You know, they all go into the winning and they pay for wins, like you said that one time. They don't just pay for individual production or however you
well,
want to
that's
work.
Billy Bean. I stole that from Billy.
That's
We're
right,
not buying players, we're buying wins.
right. And if you look at it that way, then shit, they don't care how much the offense costs. But I don't know. You got to think that
No, I do believe they have that philosophy. They think they're buying
yeah, but there still is a
wins.
very real element for like how we come in, where it's like, okay, we have a certain amount of money we can spend. You know, there's certain players that we have to keep, and then there's some players that we have to let go. Like, how do you gauge who to keep, who to let go, who to pay, who not to pay? They obviously
Well,
let all
yeah, that's
that,
where
you know,
so where I think it's changed. Where I think it's changed is not that sentiment. I think it's been prevalent um, for a long time in Philadelphia, which is buying wins, not buying players. But I don't think that's changed. What I think has changed is like Jeffrey legitimately thought that the way to win consistently in this league was with a high efficiency passing offense. That was his belief for many years. Um, it might still be his belief,
now we've
but
innovated down to
but
nothing. But it's
I
working. You're
so
right.
that yeah, that part is what has changed, or at least it's changed in the short term for him. I don't know if it's changed in the long term. I'd like to have that discussion with him. But he's definitely more open, obviously, and that directly is related to success, nothing else. I
Right.
mean, um, if they were losing, this would, the coach would be fired, everybody would be fired, but they're not. Um, so that part of it's changed, but I don't. I think that mentality's always been there. You're buying wins, not players. Now, who gets paid, who doesn't get paid, and Howie's talked about this extensively on the record, the circumstance. So people say, well, the defense, well, they're all young, they're all in their rookie contracts. That everybody's entrenched offensively. They're the guys getting paid. That's just the timing of football, the business of football, and that will begin to change as you have to pay Jalen Carter and potentially Nolan Smith. Who knows where that is now? Quinyon Mitchell, defensive player of the week. He's getting better and better. Cooper DeJean is the best tackling cornerback I've seen since Antoine Winfield. Those guys are all going to get paid eventually, and that circumstance will affect the offense. And guys will age out. Lane might retire after this year. He's talked about it a lot now. Dallas Goedert is probably not going to be here. Those are two guys right off the bat. Some of it takes care of itself. And that is more to do with circumstance.
Yeah, no doubt. Johnny Mac, real quick, we have Chris Franklin coming up here on Birds 365. Looking forward to talking to Chris Franklin. Nakobe Dean, John, opened up his practice window yesterday. I hate to say this, but it really looks bleak for Nakobe in terms of getting back on the field. I don't know. I don't see it, but maybe they move some things. Maybe I'm not seeing what they're gonna do. But Nakobe's practice window activated, John. Your first couple thoughts, and then when he returns, just maybe what this thing looks like.
Yeah, it's funny. Nakobe was more short than I've ever seen him before. I'm not talking about his height either. I'm talking about him speaking. He's usually very. I've talked to him numerous times while he was hurt. He's usually very. But now he's getting hyper focused on getting back, and people are asking him, "Is he ready?" And he's like, "My practice, I'm ready. I'm ready to go." And yeah, to your point, I just don't see a spot right now. So I think he's going to be backup, and I think he's going to be a special teams player to start. Now, injuries happen pretty quickly, and somebody might get hurt, and that changes things dramatically. But the way Jihad Campbell is playing, it's very hard to take him off the field. I will say, and you heard it when Vic was talking this week, he loves the guy. I don't think people know how well he played last season.
He played well, and he's seemingly an amazing leader.
Oh, he
Amazing
is.
locker room guy, an amazing leader. Got great.
The Eagles put out an unscripted thing with their linebackers, whatever they call their show. and you saw Nakobe, his leadership when he's not even playing. I mean, he's still the leader of that group. Like I said, if he was healthy, the two players, and Reed became a captain, the two players that were going to be captains, and Nakobe would have been if he was healthy, were Nakobe and Reed. Yeah, I mean, he's a natural leader. But yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, the guys playing Jihad I'm talking about is just playing at a level where you can't take him off the field. I always say the luxury of playing time. That's what the luxury of playing time is.
Yep.
If you're playing well, nobody's taking you off the field. But, you know, the minute you start making some mistakes, then, you know, you see it with quarterbacks. I said, you know, it's going to be
Somebody's
interesting.
breathing down your neck. Exactly.
Yeah. Now, in the case of Jihad, though, he's a first-round pick, so he's going to have the longer rope. So, right now, it doesn't look like there's an opportunity. Vic's been asked the question. The only person that's been asked, I'm convinced, that's been asked that more than Vic is me, and that's, well, can you put Campbell at edge rusher? No, he's not ready. And Vic has said it 5-6 times.
When you say not ready, or Vic says not ready, do you mean that there's like, you just don't want to put too much on that young player? You got to let him get good at being off ball first, or do you think he doesn't have the skill? Like, what does that?
He hasn't done it for a long time. So right now, I think he's got the skill set to do it, but he hasn't done it for a long time.
It's just that he's a rookie player, and you got him playing off ball linebacker. You can't swamp the guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's got, like, if they're gonna turn him into an edge rusher, they gotta go full bore, and that means shift positions and. You know, he's got to learn the technique of a pass rusher. He's not Micah Parsons, who's just going to show up and go, all right, I'll go get it. You know, he's not that. He's very talented. You know, that the second problem is he's been so good at off-ball linebacker. You know, the mentality seems to be like, Vic, well, why? I'm not going to move him. He's doing similar to Cooper. It's like, well, you can talk about him at corner, you can talk about him at safety, but he's excelling at nickel. A similar thing here. It's like, well, if he's playing so well there, why do I want to move him? Seems to be his sentiment. Yeah, but he's been asked that question numerous times, and he said the same thing. Well, he does say, you know, he says not right now because he's not ready. He's not ready to handle that role. And he's ready to handle the role he's in. Obviously, he's already proven that. And then the issue about playing 3 linebackers at once. Again, I don't listen to me. Listen to Vic.
Yeah, right. I've used that 10 times. You know, and also, unfortunately for Nakobe, they drafted a literal beast type of play. Like Jihad, you can't compete with that size, athleticism, speed, everything that Jihad came on. It's like the perfect fit for a Vic Fangio defense. It's unfortunate for Nakobe, but
Vic loves Nakobe.
I know, but you just, you know, you can love Nakobe all you want. You're not taking Jihad Campbell off the field. There's just no way.
Yeah. By the way, I love it. One thing I love about, and it's happened to me, so I'm not picking on people, but somebody asked Vic the other day, a couple weeks ago, you were talking about Jihad Campbell playing off ball alone by himself, which I guess would be dime, letting Bond kind of be the edge rusher. Actually, so he's talking about instead moving Bond to be the edge rusher, let Jihad play with Nakobe. It seems like that was something he was able to do this week. This was after the Tampa game. What have you made of Campbell's progression and the trust he's earned to be on off ball alone? And Vic's answer was, yeah, that hadn't happened. You know, he complete, you know, people are, yeah, he's like, yeah, that hadn't, it just didn't happen.
Right.
and he will not sugarcoat it. He will put you in your place, and he will say, like, I made a classic Vic mistake. Like, do not call a slot cornerback a cornerback in Vic Fangio's world, because he considers them different positions. So if you say, and I made the mistake because I was talking about Cooper's tackling, and I pretty much said it is one of the best tackling cornerbacks I've ever seen. And Vic immediately corrected me, and he said, well, he's not playing corner because he considers that a different position. But that's the way he is. It's like, and you say he got asked that question. I always say he got asked that question earlier. He said he was asked the 3 linebacker question. Could in the modern game, could you play 3 linebackers on the field? And his answer was playing linebacker, and he chuckled.
I know that answer plays back in my head often.
You
think we're discounting the potential for him to get on the field in other packages? Like Dominique says, we're going to look stupid when Nakobe gets and plays on the field in multiple packages.
Well, first of all, I've been saying Vic loves Nakobe, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if he finds a package for Nakobe, short yardage, something like that, where he finds packages to get him on the field. And second of all, I'm never going to feel silly because I explain everything as contextually as possible. Yeah. What he said is, what he means by 3 linebackers on the field is if you're doing that, say Zach Bond's playing the edge, he's not playing linebacker.
Yeah, right.
That's what he's saying. The labeling, how many times, if you've heard the show, how many times have I said labeling is a problem in the NFL? Because he's got 3 linebackers on the field. No.
Is there a better chance for them to move Bond to the edge or Campbell to the edge?
Well, I think Bond is more effective at it.
Me too.
But I mean, why would you move Zach Bond full-time to the edge? It makes no sense.
Good stuff, John. Great stuff here. We got Chris Franklin in the green room. Let's bring up our boy Chris Franklin right now. He joins us here. You can follow him at C Franklin News. Read his work at NJ.com. Chris, welcome into a Thursday edition of Birds 365. There's a lot to talk about in Eagle Land, my friend.
Hey guys, yeah, it's a little different this week. There's some topic that keeps popping up over and over again. I don't know what it is.
It's not the first time. We've seen we go through this, and at least a couple times. But AJ comes back and he says, "Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that." And we all go back but to me, the offense isn't changing. What did you take of the latest AJ Brown dust up? And obviously he's frustrated. I don't blame him. I don't think you blame him. I don't think anybody blames him. But how do you fix it when you play the way the Eagles play?
There's some little fixes. I think there are some little fixes that the offense can do. There's some little fixes I think Jalen can do. There's little fixes I think AJ can do. It's an all-encompassing thing. And I don't fault him in the fact that where it seems like it's like Groundhog Day at times with this, where you see the same thing happening over and over again. You just like we're living the 2023. I know it's not the 2023 season exactly, but it's almost like he's reliving it all over again. Like, why during the class? Why can't we get this thing moving? And it's just got to the point where just like this, he doesn't want to see it happen all over again, and then to the point where he's dealing with the stuff and everything else. Like this, there are little schematic things they can do, and I'm not talking about completely changing the offense, but there are little things they can do to try to get him open a little bit more. And you're looking up this matchup coming up this week where he's probably facing Patrick Surtain, and you're looking at a defense that really pressures the quarterback very well. There's going to be an increase. Let's just say I wouldn't be surprised if CBS keeps that camera on the sideline focused on him to try to see if they can find something.
Yeah, if they're smart, they will. If they're smart, they will.
They will. Chris, I obviously the firestorm created what it created, but I think in a way it's probably not most preferred method, but in a way, is it leadership to have a player who has a C on his chest and you're 4-0, and many people might not want to look at the problems, right? Because you're 4-0, right? Hey, we're 4-0. We don't need to change anything. But here's AJ saying, guys, we're the 31st ranked offense. We got to be better than this. And again, people will argue that he didn't do it the right way. That's perfectly fine. People can think what they want to think about that. But is it leadership to try and get the most out of your players on offense? I think it is in a way. Maybe not the right way to go about it, but what do you think about that element of it? I think he's pushing the team to be better, Chris.
Remember how we were talking about when it came to CJ Gardner-Johnson when he was leaving on the defensive side? Like you need that guy, that wild card, that spark. I think that's what AJ is on this offense. And
Well, I don't want to make that comparison.
well, not the point where you're looking like, what is he doing? Like blowing
Yeah.
things up. No, not like that. But in the fact that you need the vocal guy, like what, and we hear so many times about when it comes to leadership, there's leadership by doing, leadership by saying. Well, when you look at the it mostly on that offensive side, there's not that many like the say what's on their mind type guys out, at least to the public itself, or at least try to motivate guys. Behind the scenes, probably like a couple guys are, hey, we need to do better, but to try to motivate them. And we all know AJ's background. We know what he studied in college, and sometimes when you leak stuff out like this, maybe it puts more pressure to change things that way. So he's a very calculated person. Even though he's frustrated times, he's a very calculated person too. So
I agree.
yeah.
Do you think it will work?
Right. That's the real question.
And I don't think it's working. I mean, this team is emboldened by the way they play. And they should be, by the way. 20 of 21, Chris.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened too much in the history of this game.
They're bread and butter. Like each season's identity, but we already know what their identity is. They're going to want to run the ball. They want to go to be physical. And they want to try, and then they'll use the run to try to set the pass. Well, this is probably one of the rare years where I think it's one of the things where you can use the pass set the run because we look at the way the run game's going so far. And when you look at it, the passing game overall, you look at what this team's trying to do. I just wish they put him more in spots and you try to mix up some of these looks and make the adjustments quicker than what you're seeing. Because we know that they have the ability to make some changes. We saw in the Rams game, they struggled. And next thing you know, they changed the whole entire philosophy. They try to let it go. And then we saw what happens. But then you look at the ways they start out and they don't change what happens. So some of it's game planning. And this is what happens when you have a new first-time coordinator. It takes a while for them to get into the flow and try to set things up. But with this amount of offense, this amount of talent they have in there, it needs to get done quicker or sooner because, and the best thing for them is they have this stretch of games where you can get it corrected because that was a tough schedule early, so that wasn't the best situation to go. Okay, here's the play sheet, call the plays right away. Like, all right, this is gonna be tough there.
I wonder if people feel there's anything to correct. I know AJ does, but does Nick and the Eagles?
Well, some of the things are when it comes to the ball has to get out quicker. I think I think when you look at some of the route concepts and the bunching around, there's been too many times where you have guys in the same area, or there's guys when you look at the route combinations, you're like, okay, I see what you're doing there, but it has to be switched up a little bit more because teams are starting to key on that as well too. And then you need to correct this, especially the interior run game. You need to correct that because teams are starting to key. Okay, you're doing well. I know they broke off that one run with Barkley on the cutback on the inside, but most teams are keying. They're doing a very good job of setting that edge and stopping it. But you can't when you're going to have power run game in the middle with the defensive tackles. It's not really working that well. So there's some things there you can follow it up and just need to attack. I think they need to attack more downfield, not just going go balls over time.
Go balls, baby. Go balls.
You saw what happened when you try go balls all the time. You become Russell Wilson all the time. You see what Russell Wilson does, and that doesn't work that way. So there's ways to do it. The offensive line needs to give more consistent pressure because I think, especially when you look at what the Broncos are going to do, when they play basically three cover 0 when they're going to blitz the hell out of you, cover 1, and then cover 3. And cover 3, you can get AJ. This is a game where if you give them time, AJ could really pick them apart, even if Surtain's on them, because you can do those deep crossers work really well with cover 3, and I think you can do that. But you need to give the offensive line needs to give them time. And I know we talk about Saquon and his running and his ability to do very well running the ball. He has to be a better pass blocker. He has to.
Yeah. Well, he was a little bit better, I think, but he had been poor. Those first 3 games were difficult from a blitz pickup perspective. I think he was a little bit better in Tampa. And hopefully that continues. But you're right, he struggled in that aspect early in the season. One of the things, the squeaky wheel, right? It always gets the oil. Has anyone noticed Devontae Smith gets less targets than AJ Brown? Anyone? I mean, he's not getting the ball either. And Devontae is just obviously he's a quieter person. He's going to handle things in a different way. But I don't think he's happy either. I don't think anybody's happy. Are we getting to that point? I hate the 2023 comparison, except for this, because 2023 collapse was about the defense. Kelsey just said that. I heard him say it today. Like we're the worst defense in the NFL. And he did say, we didn't pick up the blitz well either. But so that's not going to happen because Vic is here and the defense is going to be good. It's just a matter of how good. So I don't like the comparison from that standpoint. Where I like the comparison is, if you remember, everyone said how miserable they were during that season. Like it was the most miserable 10-1 team in history. They weren't having any fun. That's where Nick came up. You got to have joy in winning. I get the feeling they're back to that. They have no joy in winning. They're like stormtroopers at this point. They just go in, they take it over, they win, they get out, but they're miserable. They go home, they take off their stormtrooper outfit, and they're like, this sucks. That's how I get the feeling. I do. They're not happy. Is that all it comes down to?
I would say if Jalen's accuracy, his completion rate was awful, we say you really say he's a stormtrooper, but on top of that. But it's one of those things where I look and like it's got to the point where they win so often. I think it takes the fun out of it, and not to use
burden. It's a burden that much success.
It's not apples to apples, but remember in the 80s, like watching the movie Miracle and watching like the story of the Soviets back in the 80s when they were really running. They were shocked when they got beat. They were looking like, wow, people are having fun again doing this. It's gotten so business-like to the way they find wins and everything else.
That's a good comp. The Russian hockey team, man.
It is a good comp.
They were just sitting there like they looked in amazement when everybody's winning. Like, wow, because they were a machine. They were winning all these games. They're beating NHL teams and everything else.
Yeah.
And it comes business-like, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying winning's a bad thing. It's just because when you get so used to it and everything, you get so used to it, you just go anything else like, okay, it's mundane. I'm not saying they should lose either. It's just a matter of trying to find ways to just make it fresh and really just enjoying what you're doing, and that can be tough because you get so used to it. So it's heavy lies the crowd, I guess, in terms of like, okay, well, we're doing very well, so it's like, all right, this is like you wanted to keep it this way, but this is where leadership, coaching, and each player as a man looks himself and go, okay, I'm just going to do my job business-like and try to find ways to just do what I can do and enjoy it and enjoy this run, because it's very rare you see teams like this have runs like this. So it's become mundane.
Have they taken on, and speaking of, because we haven't talked about this yet, so I'll talk about it with you. Jalen Hurts also spoke yesterday. I was in the locker room, but Ed was there. So, I mean, but I got the transcript from after the press conference. My God. So, the first question was about the second half. It wasn't even about OJ, but I want to read you this answer. From a macro perspective, I see it as a great opportunity. The negatives and turn into positives, then build on the positives. It takes true synchronization. What the fuck? This guy's a robot at this point. What are we doing here? And then when he was asked about AJ, he basically, did you see the AJ social post after the game? Obviously he did. He grunted a yes. And then he says, I'm not going to analyze or speculate it. I think he's always willing to contribute. And that remains. Everybody's focused on trying to get better. Everybody's present here trying to improve. He's a robot.
I think it's when it's talking to the media, there's certain ways, like, and we've seen these in these videos, and people had lives and stuff like that, and doing other things. when he talks to the media, like in controlled situations like that, that's when you get a robot. And then when he talks to everybody else, it's like, that's the same Jalen? Like this time I was like, what was it, the Maria Taylor thing? Like when he was talking to, I think it was Sick or whatever, he comes in, he's actually
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah,
opening
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So you see that there's two sides. I think
Yeah, you
Saban
saw it
is
with
just trying to
Pam.
come that way
You
too.
saw it with Pam Oliver after the Rams win.
Yeah. So I think he finds ways to make it Saban-esque when it talks that, because that one, I was trying to decipher that at first. It took me a couple of times. I was watching the clip, I'm like, all right, so he parsing this one to like, he's trying to do like a
True
30,000 view and all that stuff.
synchronization. He's throwing out macro perspective. He sounds like me. True synchronization. Yeah, I, efficient football when we've had these lulls, yada yada yada. Now I know why people get tired of listening to me, but from the standpoint, I'm not the leader of the team. He's the leader of the team. I always say everything has a shelf life. I think the way he handles things may be nearing the end of the shelf life. I think there's got to be an involvement from that standpoint. Agree or disagree.
I think behind the scenes, at least from what I've heard and seen from history and everything else, yeah, it's a different jail. So I think when it comes to outside is where it's like, okay, we're tired of hearing the same things over and over again, like giving insight, like gives more insight. I think that comes in a little bit more, but until his team goes through a prolonged losing streak, and I don't mean just like the collapse, but they don't make the playoffs and anything else, and the pressure really turns on him to, if unless the team really stops winning what happens to, it's going to keep moving on. He's going to be the same him. I mean, why at this point? Why change? Why change it right now? Yeah, but you got to tweak some things, but why make a full stop change? Because if you're winning, who cares? You could be like Cam Ward. And we're looking at Cam Ward. I know he's a rookie, but the way he's going right now, he's saying everything like, we're playing like, you playing like this, we're awful.
What do you say? We're ass.
Yeah,
That was
I was trying to be nice.
Be nice to have it.
Dude, I watched
nice to have
I'm
that.
like, no way.
Yeah.
Lord, we ass. I was like, what?
I said, just like, you can be like that. You can mosh them, but until you're playing and you're backing it up, you must have, unless you've gotten a big buy-in from your veterans and everybody's going like that. As a rookie, you're saying that?
Yeah.
Huevos.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just an interesting. I mean, the bottom line is they're a 4-0 team, and it does have that. That's the only feel I get from 2023. The only similar feel is like they just seem like. And Tim asked the question. Tim McManus asked the question about joy because Nick brought it up, and Tim apologized afterwards because Nick spent 15 minutes answering the question. He did one of those soliloquies on it, but I do get the feeling that the joy is gone again. I'm not sure what that means.
Chris, it's Soviet point, man.
Yeah.
Gold medals in 64, 68, 72, whatever it was, 72, 76, until there was no joy left.
And that's the kind of, and I that's so intangible. But I do think it's missing. And it's missing because even though style points don't matter, even the players want style points.
Yeah.
And they're not getting them.
Yeah.
And when you look at like offense, we talk about the offense and everything else. If this was the college football, the BCS, yeah, you'd worry about it, but you don't have to. I mean, look at the way the Patriots were back when they were in their dynasty mode and everything else. Not that the Eagles are in a dynasty right now, but I'm saying when they're going to look at that way, when we were hearing the Patriot way and everything else, how many of the players that left it afterwards were like, well, it's boring.
Chris Long used to talk about that all the time. It's like
it got them rings and it got them wins. So sometimes what's best for you, it may not be the most flashy or what have you, but sometimes the base stuff that works, you roll with it, you get wins because that leads to, if you're trying to get to the players mindset, well, you keep winning, you get your endorsements, you get your money and everything else. That may sound good. All right, cool. So you may have to go through the boring stuff to get to the stuff you really want to in order to have to be successful.
You mentioned endorsements. I meant to bring this up. I haven't brought this up. I swear to God, every time I open my inbox, Saquon's got another endorsement. Yesterday it was Beats ads. Him and Justin Jefferson, Jaden Daniels, Beats. Literally yesterday. This guy's got so many endorsements. I don't fault him. I mean,
Jalen Hurts. I mean, that's where I wonder if the human element of it a little bit does come into play. Jalen doesn't care; they keep winning, but AJ's like, I don't know, maybe not as satisfied. I think people leave out that human stuff. Like AJ should only care about the Eagles going 1-0. It's like, all right, a fan, yeah, you're going to think that, but to think that a player who's worked his ass off his entire life to become one of the best receivers in football isn't going to care about any personal accolades or personal accomplishments, in my opinion, is naive.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
yeah,
AJ and Saquon, they're Hall of Fame level players.
That's what I mean.
And the only way you get that gold jacket is numbers, awards, all pros, yada, yada, yada. That's how you get it. And it matters. It definitely matters. Coaching staff, it doesn't matter at all, to be blunt. I shouldn't say that because, and I told this story yesterday on the show, Chris. I was like, when they're running out the clock, it's not a big deal, but I brought this up. When they're running out the clock, 6 seconds, and they let Braden Mann go out of the back of the end zone, I'm like, the guy he has no experience. It's not a big deal because who can't run out of the back of the end? You just got to make sure you waste the 6 seconds before you do it. But I'm like, Jalen Hurts could do that in his sleep. Who's better with the ball in his hands than Jalen Hurts? And you even saw Jalen Hurts talking to the coach, like, what are we doing? Let me run out the clock, basically. And, so I was just asked a couple of guys and it was, they didn't want the negative 32 or 34 yards on Jalen's stat sheet because he had a great day running the football. And afterwards, if I think he had 9 carries for 62 yards turns into 10 carries for 28 yards, you're going to have some Yahoo who didn't watch the game, doesn't know the context. Oh, Jalen Hurts can't run the ball 2-point yards, 8 yards. So even that matters, little stuff like that. And they had that in their head. So even though it's not important, it matters, which is another difficulty of coaching in the NFL. It shouldn't matter, but it does.
Right. And I agreed with that decision because also I know you say that you want to have the ball in the quarterback so used to it. It kind of gives you a head start having the punter out there who's used to being that far back. Who can, if there is a fumble, it's shooting back that way. He can pick it up, and then you take the penalty for batting the ball out.
Strategy. But
the
reason it wasn't even the strategy, because you can argue that that's a good point. But it wasn't even. It was about they didn't want him losing the 32 yards, and poor Braden Mann is going to be the worst rushing punter in NFL history when it's all said and done. But to the point of statistics, they don't matter at all, but yet they do matter, which is a difficult sort of thing to navigate. And that's kind of the problem they have.
Yeah. When you're looking at legacy now, because a lot of these guys, when you're winning as much as they are, as much as they say, no, we're focused on what they gotta know about some of the stuff, like they gotta know something. And you gotta be cognizant because the stats are part of your legacy. And Nick's protecting them now. Nick's doing the best thing when it comes to just keep making sure they win. But you're right. Like a lot of these times, stats wise, and that's why I think AJ is playing a little bit into AJ as well too. Because when you look at errors, you look at the players on this team, and you look at each year, and you can go like, okay, well, maybe I'm trying to think of the Patriots. Well, like when they had Welker and Edelman or whatever, they had down year, what have you, besides injuries. But you want to be known as the guy, like, wow, he really contributed. Like, wow, this is the one part there. You don't want to just be like, well, it's Jalen, Saquon, defense. You want your name as part of it, even if it's like a sentence or whatever. You want your name part of it, not in so like you really contributed. That's why I think it played a role. But yeah, I think they're cognizant. A lot of these guys are cognizant of where they are as part of this run and where they want their name to be in history when it's all said and done.
Yeah, especially Hall of Fame level players.
Yeah, 100%. Chris, I want to talk about Nakobe Dean, man. They opened up the practice window, coming back. How do you see it? I don't want to pollute my thought. How do you see Nakobe Dean returning to the lineup?
I'm looking forward to it. And I heard right before you guys are talking about in terms of when it comes to Vic and what he calls his guys, I could see Vic being the biggest semantics guy ever when it
Oh, he
comes to
is.
that.
But it's
Because
not semantics though in his mind, because like I called Cooper a cornerback, and I said, "Have you ever had a better tackling cornerback?" And because Vic's been around for a while, and he immediately corrected me. He was like, "Well, he's playing slot," which I'm right. I knew I broke Vic's rule. I knew it as soon as he said it, because in his mind, it's not a cornerback; it's a different position. Um, And the same thing when I give it that example of can 3 linebackers be on the field? Maybe by your labeling system, but not by his, because if Zach Bond's playing edge rusher, he's playing edge rusher. If Jihad Campbell's playing edge rusher, he's playing edge rusher. He's not playing linebacker because the roster says he's a linebacker. So Vic's right, but I think a lot of people, the other side is playing the semantics. They're saying, well, it says he's a linebacker. That's semantics, Chris. When he's not playing linebacker on the field, which
he's
is
only playing
big.
Jack. He's only the
Yeah.
Jack. Yeah, no, he's only the Jack. I don't know. But
Yeah.
when you have, this plays very well into the I can't wait to see with Campbell, Dean, and Bond behind them, and then you have the regular line there. Because even if it's like a 3-3-5 look per se, this is almost similar to what I know Vic's is 3-4, but it's close. You can do so much, and then when it comes to you see the issues they have with rushing the passer, the blitz looks you can do. We know how well Nakobe can blitz up those A and B gaps. We know Bond and Campbell can rush off the edge. We know what you can do with the defensive tackles if you want to run some stunts, what have you. The confusion you can create, I think, can alleviate some of these pass rushing issues they have. And if you get the quarterback holding the ball a little bit long because you're trying to see who's going to actually run, who's run, you can even run. As we see as many times these teams run these simulated pressure against the Eagles, they can do the same thing as well too and drop everything back because trying to pick up where each guy's going to go. So I think that's going to help the pass rush, especially until you get Nolan Smith back, or you see one of these other guys starts to pick up and get more pressure that way. I'm really looking forward to it. And the benefit of it is, if you're still worried about the coverage aspect of it, yeah, Dean's not the best cover guy. He improved before that injury. He improved that way. But if you still want to bring him in pressure wise or just have him go to fight, okay, it's cool. You have Bond and Campbell that are able to go run in the backfield and run with these running backs and still do it in tight ends and still do a decent job. So there's so much you can do and move them around. So I really can't wait to see them use that. I would love to see them use it more than what the base defense they have right now. I know it's tough to do that, but I would love to see that just because I think you can get a lot of good matchups and you can get a lot more pressure than what you have currently. They're currently using.
Could be an interesting way to look at it, man. I can't wait to see what they end up doing there with Nakobe Dean. I tell you what, though, it looks bleak to me for him because with the injury, I mean, John keeps pointing this out too. I think the other element is this isn't like an ACL or like one of those injuries. This is a much worse injury where he's going to have to prove also that he's back healthy enough to play at a. He played at a very high level last year, so I think that's another big part of it as well. How does he look returning back to the field? I think is a big part of it.
Yeah, and also get that contract. He wants to get on that
Yeah,
field
he's
as soon as
got-
possible
yeah.
too.
Contract year.
Yeah.
So he wants to, and the thing is, sometimes the players say, "Oh wow, I'm ready to go," but then in the back of their mind, like I'm worried about Nate. Just by looking like in the little small moments you get when you see him running around or what have you, he's got
Well,
confidence.
he's looked great since the spring, man, running around.
He was running down that sideline, it's like
Yeah.
that form looks good. Like he has confidence on that knees, not worried about like the get up and everything. And even if it's not true game speed action running around, so it looks like he's confident enough to run on there. He's good enough to do that. Ramp him
Well,
up and trust conditions.
Nakobe, Chris, when he was hurt, like most guys, when they're hurt, they sort of recede and you don't even see them in the locker room. Nakobe's always there. He's always talking. He's always in a good mood. Yesterday it was interesting because he's got the practice window started and He was the shortest I've ever seen him. He was like hyper focused, and he started getting all the questions about the practice window starting, and the first one was, it felt great to get out there and the guys actually play some football. That's it. And he kept getting pushed on. Is he ready to go though? Do you need a ramp up time? And he basically said, I've been cleared. I'm ready to go. Basically, that's it. And he claims he's ready to go. We'll see. It is a very serious injury. The numbers with that injury from the history, but everybody's different. It's not great, but we'll see how he recovers from it. I've said it and I can't say it enough. Vic loves Nakobe Dean, loves him as a player. So that factors into it if he's healthy, if he thinks he can help. But they're not playing three linebackers. They're playing edge rushers and linebackers. And if they think Zach Bond, I mean, the edge rushing problems could play into it. If they don't think.
The part of me with the Bond thing is like, I think he could do the edge too, but man, he is a good linebacker.
Well, yeah.
You're going to take him out of that,
Yeah, I can see it more. I can see it more being like, hey, if you do have them all on the field at first, I can see them standing up like Nakobe and Bond being off the ball, Campbell lurking in a way where you put him maybe as he doesn't declare his first, but he's getting to the line and then he picks his spot late, tries to time it up that way. I think it's one of those things in terms.
Well, it's also, you could have Zach playing off ball on first and second down and being an edge rusher on third down and the obvious passing situation. He can toggle between two positions. He's good enough to do that. I don't think Vic thinks Jihad's advanced enough to do that now. At least he's expressed that. He expressed that this week again. But Zach, I think he thinks could do it. The question is, he's so good as a stacked linebacker. Do you want to? But it all comes into it. It's about, all right, if you don't believe in Azeez Ojulari and Jalix Hunt, maybe you do it. But if you do believe in them, you probably don't do it. So that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, when it comes to Bond, I want him off the ball, looking around, surveying the whole field, because he's done too well with that. The way he baits quarterbacks into throwing areas where they don't see it, the way he influences them, like the way he'll start to shade one way, and then the route is running right behind him, and then he'll feel it, and then run the other way and try to make a deflection or run with that. Or like I mentioned beforehand, when it comes to running down the field with those tight ends and running backs, I feel more comfortable with him doing that. And not to say Campbell can't do it, not saying that Kobe can't do it, but I know with Campbell, he's still younger. He's still trying to get the feel. He's done well in those opportunities, but still a few games in. And the Kobe we've seen from the past when he comes out and coming off that injury too, even though I think he'll be fine, I think Bond's their best coverage guy. So keeping him in that, like, I'd rather say, like, personally, I'd rather go, Campbell, listen, you're doing well on this. We need you to take one for us. Go back to that edge a little bit, or try to rush that way too. I know Bond can do it to the edge. He just seems like a weapon in that backfield at that second level to try to move back around sideline to sideline. I'd love to see him get the whole view of the field and let him try to make a play off of that. Because who would have thought we've been seeing this 2 years now after they signed him? That's the part I still can't believe we're talking about him like this.
Oh, it's crazy. There's got to be a book to be written about that. It's going to criticize Mickey Loomis, that book.
Yeah.
How do you have that guy in the building for 4 years and not notice anything?
And Mickey Loomis be added to the Eagles Hall of Fame based off the trades they made, and then also
he's going to be in the Eagles Ring of Honor.
He's the Ed Wade of Mickey Loomis equals Ed Wade with the Houston Astros. The two of them together is like it's crazy.
I didn't know Mickey Loomis worked for the Eagles. He didn't. He's in the Ring of Honor.
Awesome.
All right, Chris, good stuff, man. You're just your prediction for the game this weekend, man. Tough opponent in the Broncos. Not, I don't think you could go to sleep on them. They obviously have a good defense. You're talking about passing game a lot this week, and they have a good secondary. They got Pat Surtain, obviously. How do you see the game playing out this weekend?
I should probably think the Eagles win by a double digit. I think it's 10. I think the Eagles win by 10. You look at that, the Broncos short week. Hey, you got a short week. You're going, it's not full West Coast to East Coast, but it's still a 2 hour difference in terms of that.
Yep.
You've been on the road a lot. Yeah. I look at this and say, I think it's a good spot for the Eagles. Not to take them lightly. The offense needs to, this is a good game to establish the offense. Okay. You guys were talking like
Well, I
it takes
really,
everything else.
I
Well,
don't
I
know
think it's a good game for them to do it.
with
I'm
those
not saying
edge
that because
rushers, man.
fans
Oof,
show the quickest edge rushers off the edge. Like
woo.
I'm not saying it's gonna be easy. I think they outlast them and they really wear them, affect them. This is a game I see tempo. This is a good game to run a lot of tempo, wear them down early, and then so if I can get them thinking. So they won't. I don't think when you look at the downfield things, it's not going to be one of those things where you're looking like, okay, they're going to attack. The ball's going to have to come out quick, and we might have to see the dreaded wide receiver screens as part of that a little bit more. But I think the Eagles can establish themselves a little bit and frustrate the Broncos to the point where, and I think the defense will be leveraged on that.
Here's what I think, Chris. I think Nick Bonito is the best player a lot of people don't know about in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I think Vic Fangio is going to put Bo Nix in a blender. So I think that I'm with you. They're going to win the game, but they're going to win the game because the defense is going to make that kid look bad, I think.
Yeah. Oh, this is they open. Oh, this is cover 2. This is no problem. Pick. One of those.
I don't think he's ready for what Vic is going to unleash on him. But we'll see. At C Franklin News. Make sure you follow Chris on the X platform. Read him at nj.com. Does a tremendous job there. I will see you Sunday, my friend.
Can't wait. I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. Y'all have a good one.
Bud.
Yep. There's Chris Franklin joining us here on Bird 365. Great stuff from Chris Franklin. Follow him at C Franklin News. Read his work at nj.com. John, final couple minutes of the show here today. It's a Thursday edition. What's on the agenda for the Birds today before we get your final thoughts here, Johnny Mac?
Typical Thursday practice. A little bit later the day starts today. Locker room. No coaches today. So that part's eliminated. But practice, locker room. So we'll continue. Hopefully everything will settle down. There'll be less gossip columnists there for the angst talk. Back to football mode. Probably more talk about the Denver Broncos today.
Yeah.
Good team, not a great team. Good defense, though.
Good defense. Yeah, which is a little bit inflated right now because they got the Jake Browning Bengals last week.
Yes, it is.
3 points. So
yes,
yeah.
it is. But I'm telling you, those edge rushers, they are
good. They're really
but I mean, the Eagles are better equipped to deal with that than anybody.
Right, with their tackles.
And Lane was practicing yesterday, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Dallas Goedert much today with him on the injury report. You think he's going to play? How do you see that real quick?
Yeah, Dallas was in the locker room after, talked to him a little bit, but just off to the side. But yeah, I think he's going to play. I think they're just managing him. Typically, if he's not going to play, he doesn't come in the locker room. So not 100%, not exactly worthy of Scientific America, but you know, if you look at the week he didn't play, he wasn't. You didn't see him at all. I think they're just trying to manage him during the week.
We can't lose Goddard. Goddard's like a tough loss for this team right now because the tight ends they have backup. It's not as much a knock on them, but they're just such a different style. You know, like Calcaterra's almost a glorified receiver. I mean, he can't block for shit.
No, he's not having a good year early on, at least, especially blocking. But
good pass catcher, though. I mean, he makes
he can catch the ball.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, but you know, Dallas missed a bunch of games last year. They won them all. So I got some people say, "Well, they don't need Dallas Goedert." They won. I pointed out they won with everybody out last year.
Right. And remember, Johnny Wilson being gone, I think, hurts the running game too. So you obviously want a guy like Dallas who's more. And
Ben Van Sherman, they had a whole thing lined up.
Yeah.
With Johnny and Ben, and they were going to play 21, and it would have been interesting. But
here's Bird Gang. Let me read this here. I know you got to run. Bird Gang says, "I'm going to start by saying I don't want it to happen. But I think this week's game is going to break the Eagles and this fan base if this offense doesn't turn it around. Broncos defense is legit." I don't think so.
Well, I do think the Broncos are a very good defense. The Eagles have to play better or they might get embarrassed offensively. but I think they'll play a little bit better at least. And yeah, I don't worry about the game because, like I said, I don't like young quarterbacks matched up again. I just don't like it.
Yeah. Well, he does have Sean Payton, to help him out a little bit. So,
And Vic's got tremendous respect for Sean
yeah.
Payton, but it's what I say with these guys. I have tremendous respect for Sean Payton. I have tremendous respect for Kyle Shanahan. I have tremendous respect for Kevin O'Connell. They can't go out on the field. They can't go out on the field.
Yeah, only Bo can deal with with whatever looks the Vic is bringing him, no doubt about it. Johnny Mac, good stuff, man. Your final thoughts here on a Thursday edition of the program, and we'll talk to you again on a Football Friday, my friend.
Yeah, I think it's time to turn the page. Football Friday. We'll talk more about the Broncos. We'll talk more about the actual game, and obviously there'll be some talk about the offense and AJ and everything that happened. But hey, game's coming up. Gotta turn the page, and he made his make, and hopefully it won't happen again this year. But maybe it will.
Team AJ. I'm good with it. I remain Team AJ on it. Johnny Mac, great show today, my friend. I will talk to you tomorrow on a Football Friday edition. Thank you, brother.
All right, thanks all.
All right, thanks, Johnny Mac. There's Johnny Mac, John McMullen. Give him a follow on X at JF McMullen, the best Eagles beat reporter there is, without a doubt. Appreciate everybody for being here. All right, good show today. I really thought, look, I know sometimes people don't love the conversations that come from that, but I do think John and I had a very productive, good conversation about AJ Brown's comments, about the offense, about, how they play, why they play, what it looks like to get better. What does that even entail? The evolution, the creativity, I guess, or the innovation, the innovative approach that they've taken. So I thought a lot of good commentary today, especially in that hour one. I do agree with John. We'd like to go to the end of the Broncos a little bit more, but this is the reality of the week, and AJ kind of stirred that soup. But look, I'll say this, and I said this yesterday when it came out. I really don't have a problem with AJ Brown, what he did here. I really don't. I know people don't want him to do it. Hip Hop was fighting me in the chat. He can't go to Twitter. But at the end of the day, and John didn't deny this, which I thought was interesting. This is a stubborn organization, and I don't say that as a criticism of them. They've been right about a lot of things. So I don't say that as a criticism of them. But they're a little bit stubborn and arrogant in their approach, which again, when you're successful, you don't reach success without having a healthy level of that. So again, it's not a knock on them. But sometimes when you have to get through to them, or you have to create, make your point, or you have to say we're 4-0, but we shouldn't be the 31st ranked offense. There's different ways to go about it. Some people would disagree with the way AJ went about it. This is the social media era, everybody. I mean, welcome in. If you're older and you're 30, if you're 40 or 50, 60 years old, you're probably like, don't do that. But at the end of the day, the problem is brought to the light, and I think they're going to, at the very least, they know it's there. They're going to try and address it. And maybe they don't. Maybe they just keep playing the same way. Maybe they don't give a shit. And that could be a real thing too, man. That could be a real thing too. Here's Catch. Catch, what's up, my man? I appreciate you, Catch. Catch is one of our best here, man. He says, show is always good. I keep coming back. Keep up the good work. AJ for 2 tutties Sunday. Catch, I appreciate that, man. Thanks for keep coming back, Catch. And thank you for the $20 super chat. Thank you for being a great supporter here on JAKIB Nation. I do appreciate all of our great supporters, man. We got a lot of good ones, man. I always tell you guys how much I love our community. Even those who disagree, even those who push back. I think we have a lot of great conversation in here. So, Catch, appreciate it. And that was my bold prediction as well. I was on Bird Gang 31's show the other night before AJ spoke. That was Tuesday night. And he asked me for 3 bold predictions for the game. And one of my bold predictions was a big game from AJ Brown. A big game from AJ Brown. All right. So I think AJ is going to get going this week. I do believe, and people you're free to disagree with me. I do happen to believe, and no, it's not about just wanting it to look pretty. I hate that comment. People go, just want it to look pretty. I'm like, not really. I do believe that getting AJ more involved, advancing that part of the offense actually gives us a better chance to win, continue to win this year. Again, some people will push back. Some people will say we don't have to do that. Some people will say, why do that when you're 20 of the last 21? I get it. It's just my personal belief that when you use AJ Brown more, you get him more involved in the game. You get Devontae Smith more involved in the game. You get Jalen Hurts playing, in a better rhythm in the passing game. I believe that helps the team. Not everybody will do it. That's perfectly fine. Not everybody will believe that. I believe that, though. All right. James Jones, appreciate you being here, my man. Good stuff, brother. Good stuff. Good to see you in here. All right. Brian Fleming says social media is really his only option. Say some cryptic shit with plausible deniability because he can't just say it straight to the reporters. The Gestapo Bob Lang will yank him out of there. See that? Brian, that's what people don't understand about this organization, which is fine. I mean, they're allowed to be like that. I'm not, it is what it is. They're allowed to be like that. But that's what makes it tough when you do have a problem or you do want to voice something, Deshae says, real men speak up, have some nuts. I'm with you, Deshae. I agree 100%. All these people are just like, AJ, sit down and shut up. Sit down and shut up. Get in line. Be the subservient. It's like, come on, man. AJ Brown's one of the best receivers on the planet. I get it. There's the people associate divas with receiver. I get it. But, Zach, I've been wondering this for years, man. I've been wondering this for years. A simple drag route, man. Doesn't even couple yards depth up the field. Couple yards, drag right across. I don't know, man. I don't know why they don't do it, Zach. I really don't. All right. Here's Daz. He says there's 53 other guys on the team as well. Don't cause drama. Well, Daz, all right, I'm of the assumption, and maybe my assumption is wrong. It could be. I'm of the assumption that AJ tried to address some of these issues, behind closed doors weeks 1, 2, and 3 when he was saying in the media, hey, we got to communicate better. Hey, we got to do this better. He made a couple comments, nothing big, nothing that would create a firestorm. But AJ did say several times, that they need to work on some stuff. The way I took his tweet was that they didn't want to listen to him, or basically they pushed him off to the side. So I get it. You don't want to cause the drama, but there's also a belief out there and hip hop. I'm going to keep picking on you. Sorry, brother, but me and you've been going back and forth. Hip hop brought it up of, he's messing up the locker room. I don't know about that. I think more of the locker room is with AJ Brown than people think. Right. Yeah, I agree. KCA, I actually agree with you. I think it's sometimes you have to have hard conversation. When you're a leader, sometimes you got to do things that upset, a majority of people to get to the best scenario or to get the most out of the people you're leading or to get the most or to reach the goal that you're trying to get to. That's like leadership 101. You're not going to make everybody happy, but as long as you're doing things for the betterment of whoever it is you're leading, then in theory, it's good leadership. Doesn't mean you're always going to make the right decision. I mean, nobody makes it. We're humans. You don't always make the right decision. But I do believe that AJ's not doing this just for personal things. I really don't. I'm sorry. I really do not believe in my heart. Doesn't mean I'm right. I really do believe that AJ wasn't doing this because he wants more targets and more yards. I really don't believe that. I think he believes this offense is capable of more, and we should push to achieve that more. That's what I believe. Doesn't mean I'm right. That's what I believe AJ thinks, and I don't think he's wrong for that. All right? I don't think he's wrong, but I hear you. I get it. I mean, I get it. I get the other sides too. My timeline is filled with AJ. Daz, who cares? I've been looking at AJ Brown photoshopped and other jerseys for 3 years. I don't, Deshae, you can't handle the truth. I love it, Deshae. All right, I love it. All right, everybody, good show, man. I appreciate everybody for being here today. I thought we had a great show today. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good conversation. A lot of people pushing back on me on my Twitter about some stuff, but all good. All good. Appreciate everybody, man. What did I have to announce? Nothing really. Mad Bird, I got your jersey giveaway shipped out today, so I didn't package it up till yesterday. I apologize. We could probably do a Football Friday giveaway. Maybe do a Football Friday giveaway. I don't think I'm going to be in my studio tomorrow morning. By the way, does my shot look different? I got this new setup on my desk. It's nice. But, yeah, so I'll try and do one tomorrow, a giveaway tomorrow. I won't be in my studio, so it might be a little harder to do. But I will try and do one, at the very least, maybe some JAKIB merch or anything like that. So we'll try and do that. We'll see. We'll try and do that. ZK's Garage is doing good still. I posted a video up this week, Rico. It's a little tough because I'm so damn busy, man. During the football seasons, I am like a bat out of hell, man. I really am. I'm doing so many different things at once and just trying to maximize, obviously, what we're building here on JAKIB. So, it's slowed down in terms of how much output I can put out. But I put out a video on Monday or Tuesday. I forget what day I posted. I think Monday that I've recorded on Saturday. And I'm trying to do at least 1 or 2 videos a month on there. And then once I get, into the spring, and the Eagles season is back in the off season, then I'm going to really push on both channels. So, it's doing good though. It's doing good, man. I got some ideas for the car too. So should be good. I'm excited to keep building up both channels. Appreciate everybody, man. Appreciate everybody for being here. As always, Daz, we did. We got some editors working, as always. That's where you see the shorts coming from and, helping me out with the long forms and stuff as well, but still optimizing, Daz. Still optimizing. Who you got winning? Who is tonight's game, guys? I didn't even look yet. I'll tell you what, Wayne, I'll say this. When playoff baseball comes, Wayne, I love playoff baseball. I love playoff baseball, man. I love playoff baseball. Oh, Rich, that's right. I got to give you guys rosary updates. For the people that emailed me about the rosaries, my sisters ordered all the green beads, so I'll email you guys back today. All right, I'll email you back today. Rich, you said you wanted what, 1 or 2, right? Who's tonight? Rams, Niners? Okay, Rams, Niners. I got the Rams in that game. I'm not a huge Niners believer right now. I know that they're have an easier schedule and they might get back, but I think I'm going to go Rams in that game. I think the Rams are a good team, man. I do. I think the Rams are a good team. And I think they're going to be there late. So playoff baseball, though. Yeah, some Black, you're asking the simple questions. Why don't we run more mesh routes with AJ being the main mesh guy, yards after catch all day? Yeah, I don't know. That's where some Black sometimes I struggle with the offense. Like I understand they're trying to play a certain way and limit turnovers and stuff, but I've always felt, and hey, maybe it's not realistic. I'm not a coach. I'm not a player in the NFL. I'm smart enough to know that I don't know exactly how things work in terms of some things are easier said than done. It seems to me they leave a lot on the table when it comes to simple ways to get guys like A.J. Brown involved in the game. It does. It doesn't mean I'm right, but I certainly agree with you, Some Black. I think the same things. All right. No, October 4th. Yeah, Saturday. Yeah. Saturday. Sunday at 10 is going to be interesting. What's Sunday at 10? What is Sunday Night Football this week? Sunday at 10, Dank. What are you referring to? Yeah, so Phillies fans, you guys want to talk Phillies for a second here? There's no other way. Look, I think the Phillies can beat the Dodgers for sure. I'm with you, Daz. That's a tough hand. That's definitely a tough hand. Oh, Pacific time. Got you, Dank. Yeah, so I guess the game's what, 6 or 6:30? That's a tough hand, man. Dodgers first series. Ugh. I don't know, man. I know everybody's jacked up. All right, I know everybody's jacked up. Phil's Dodgers. It's a tough one, man. It is. It's a tough one. They're a good team, man. They're a good freaking team. Why does it say time is to be determined? I thought they came out with the times. Holy moly, this is a comment worth talking about here. Trenton says, I become a father this week. Can't wait to watch the birds with my baby girl. Congrats, bro. That is excellent. That is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Trenton, I love it, my man. Congratulations. Godspeed to you. I'm praying for a healthy baby, a healthy mother to your baby, and I hope everything goes well, man, for you. Good stuff, and congratulations to you, man. Congratulations to you. That's a beautiful thing. Caesar, what up, Caesar? People acting like AJ's being selfish don't get it. He wants to win, and he knows this offense isn't close to its ceiling if he's not involved. His comments are a wake-up call, not drama. Caesar, I agree. I agree. All right? I agree 100%, man. I agree 100%. Okay? Okay, Brian. That's what I thought. I thought it was in the 6 o'clock hour. He said it's either 6:08 or 6:38, depending on how long the Yankees – all right, gotcha. So if the Yankees and Red Sox finish, what are they? The Yankees won last night, so I guess they could hypothetically play. No, I thought that series was going to be over tonight. Right? Or no? Doesn't that series end tonight no matter what? Yeah, game 3 tonight. I thought that series was done. It is done by tonight. It is done by tonight. So what? All right. Well, it's probably something else, Brian. Probably like one of the other games or something. Yeah, I think the Yankees are going to win that one, folks. Who's pitching tonight for the Yanks? A lot of you guys give me shit because I don't mind when the Yankees win. I'm a soft Yankee fan. My dad was a Yankee fan. Every kid has some love in their heart for their dad's teams. I don't care what you say. My dad grew up in the projects in the middle of Pennsylvania. All right, no father, and he had one little radio that my dad would listen to when he would come home from delivering newspapers at 8, 9, 10 years old because he had no pop. All right, and his mom was working in the factory and he had to help make ends meet. The newspaper delivery since 8 years old, my pop. All right, he had one radio. It was the only thing he got was one radio, and my dad would tune it every night to listen to the Yankees. Only two things he got were the Yankees and the New York Giants. So, yes, I do like when the Yankees win. I do. I hate when I'll say, though, I'll never root for them over the Phillies. But they're in the AL. It's easier to root for a team when they're in the AL. Caesar says, arriving on the 17th, Philly, your boy Chilean Pesos is coming. Caesar, I got to make sure I have your email because I want to send the thing to your. Let me look up your email right now before I forget. All right, I got it. I'm going to ship I'm going to ship it out today. Is it fine if it gets there early? All right. Oh, this is a great email, Caesar. Thank you, dude. I won't read your whole email, but I'm going to read this one line. He says, lastly, not sound corny or anything, classic. You're not corny, brother. Don't worry about it. As I mentioned before, I sometimes feel far away from the Eagles and the Philly sports energy, obviously being, in Chile. But your coverage and perspective make me feel connected to the team and the community. That's awesome, man. That's really what we want to do. That's really what we try and do. We got a lot of people who aren't from Philly, that listen to us. So I appreciate it, Caesar. Good stuff. I'm going to get this shirt out. You're the only guy I haven't shipped out. And then Mad Bird, I'm shipping yours out today. But we've had a lot of winners already so far. 18 winners so far. Mad Bird, everybody is shipped and I think should be. JD3, are you here? Is JD3 in here? JD3 is having the rare issue of, I don't know where he lives. I think I had this issue with someone else before. But JD3, I shipped his thing. He's the only guy that didn't deliver last week. And it still says, it's one of those things where it just says in transit and doesn't tell you where it is. And you're just like, uh-oh, moving through the network. I don't know what that means. Where's my boy JD3? Is he in here? Sig Lord says, my dad. Yeah, that's a little different, Sig Lord. My dad's a Cowboys fan. Can't say I agree with you. All right, Sig. All right. Yeah, yep, you are, Brandon. You are a failed delivery, bro. Like JD, I shipped his whatever he wanted. I think it was a t-shirt. And then he also ordered a JAKIB hat. Send JD 3. Why? Is he a Ringo hater? No Ringo jerseys until he proves it. All right. Kimberly, you're going to win one day. I feel it. Kimberly, hang in there. You know how many people I've had make this comment that eventually get a W? How many people in this chat have said, I never win, and then they get a W? We've done pretty good. We've gotten over 100 giveaway winners on JAKIB. So we're already up to 18 this year. 18 giveaway winners so far this year. It's only week 4 or week 5 in the NFL. I told you guys that we are gonna get more giveaways in November and December when things really click in. So Izzy B says Sanders been saying that to me for over a year. Izzy, I believe you'll be a winner one day too. Izzy, hang in there, Izzy. All right, come on. I want all of JAKIB Nation to win, man. I do. All right. Something I might start is daily giveaways for super chats. All right. Daily, because super chats, I always say the super chats really help the channel. Like, I'm talking about the payroll, the expenses of the channel that come associated with it. So I'd like to try and do something for our super chatters and also like promote a way to get more super chatters. So I don't know if you guys have any ideas. I was thinking maybe like a super chat winner of the day and just send a JAKIB hat to the best super chat of the day almost every day. I could do it every day if we're able to boost the numbers. You know, I ordered like 20 of these mesh hats, so I could do it. I need a WZ. All right, Kimberly, you have good super chat, so maybe if I do that super chat thing, you'll get a hat. Yeah, I always do the goals, Brandon. Then we don't always hit them, but sometimes I feel weird doing them because I don't want people to, you know what I mean? Sometimes it feels a little weird, but at the end of the day, you guys get it's business. I got to make money. I got to pay bills, man. I got, so, but it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. It is what it is. We had a good September. It's October 2nd. I do want to thank everybody, man, for our September. We had a huge September. So big thanks to everybody. We did. I will read you guys real quick the numbers. For those who care, some won't care. That's perfectly fine. All right. But I will read the numbers to you guys. 1.2 million views on the channel, which is great, but it's not the number I care about, to be blunt with you guys. 280,000 watch hours. 280,000 watch hours, which is really tremendous. Here's my shorts editor. Vince! So, all right, guys, if you ever see something on the channel, ready, that you're like, that needs to be clipped into a short form, you tag Vince and you say, yo, Vince, pull this motherfucker. Vince, pull this motherfucker. You get on Vince's ass and you tell him what to pull. All right, he'll do it. He'll do it. Vince, appreciate you being in here. All right. So now, Vince, you've entered new territory, my friend. Now that JAKIB Nation knows who you are, you will be bombarded. Tell Martin to protect himself, Vince. Tell Martin to protect himself, Vince. So, Vince, if you guys ever need a short form video pulled, all right, you tell Vince that you holler at Vince in the chat. We need like a code word for the chat. We need like a code word for the chat to get Vince to pull it. All right, to get Vince to pull it. Don't look at me, man. I can't edit the shorts. I suck at that crap. No Docs and Mart, Vince. We're gonna leave Mart out in his own world for now. All right, we're gonna leave Mart in his own world for now. All right, Mart, if you're listening, we love you too, brother. All right, we love you too, Mart. All right, guys, good stuff. Any ideas on super chat giveaways? A female giveaway only. How the heck could I do that? I don't know. We got members in here. I don't know how some like Fly Eagles Fly. If she wasn't such a great supporter and here every day, I would have no idea that she was a female. I would have no idea. I'm sure we have many like that. All right. But I just gave you guys the JAKIB numbers for September. So I can click audience. All right. I can go down to gender. Anybody want to take a guess at the percentage of our male audience in September only? Let's just look at September. Okay. V Money. V Money, Vince. That's what we're calling you now. V Money. I love that. I love that. Who wants to guess the percentage? 80-20? Nope, not 80-20. 95 is a little rich. You're close, though. 83? No. 92 is so far, I believe, our closest guess. All right. 92 is right on the number, guys. So I'm looking at the audience right now. 92.8% is male, 7.2% female. 92.8% male, 7.2% female. Shame on YouTube for assuming my gender. That's hilarious. Don't tell Secunda that, Crowley. Secunda might have an aneurysm. All right, Secunda might have an aneurysm. I don't know, guys. Apparently, YouTube's only telling me there are two genders. I don't know. Blame them, guys. Blame them. What do you want to tell me? All right. That's hilarious. Oh, that is funny, man. That is funny. 7.2% female. I'll tell you what, that number has doubled. It used to be 3%. I like to think it's me. I'm not sure, though. All right. Cody says, Aaron, did you see the back and forth between AJ and Seth? I did. I saw that apparently AJ deleted the tweet, but I don't know. I don't really care. AJ's right. I think you only have maybe 5. I don't know, Texas. I think there are some more. They just might not be commenters. You guys know how I get a lot of messages from people that are like, I've been listening to you for years, but I never comment in the chat. We have a lot of those people. The chat people are their own like demographic of listener, if you will. You know, it all goes into the pot, but there are plenty of people that do not comment, regularly. They need to include Mike Gill segments as female. Yeah, I guess. Got to hit 20%, Brandon. That might be a pipe dream, dude. You were trying to do a $10 super? Kimberly, get it through, and I'll award you with today's super chatter of the day and send you a JAKIB hat. I'll award you today's super chatter of the day. Is that a good way to do it? Is that a good way to do it? How can we do it to where we look at this asshole? Xander doesn't appeal. Yeah, Michael J. I'll tell you something about my life. I've never had that issue in my life, Michael J. Now maybe you have, and maybe you're projecting, but that's never been a problem for me, my friend. That's never been a problem for me, my friend. Yeah, Texas too. You're right, man. All right. I watched for a long time before I started commenting. It gets brutal in here. It does. It does. It ain't for the faint of heart, that's for sure. I mean, today we were literally analyzing the worldwide governments, communism, socialism, democracy. Was Thomas Sowell, some German author. We were talking about everything in here. I'm like, holy shit. Holy shit. So it happens. It happens. It happens. Yeah, Fleming, no comment. Izzy B, I watched for months last year before I said anything. Izzy B, you've been watching us every day. You love us, Izzy B. You do. Wild Bear, I'm pretty sure you're a female, right? I know you are, but just to clarify for the chat who might not know, because your name is Wild Bear, which doesn't insinuate that you're anything. But yeah, see, I knew it. I knew you were Wild Bear. That's because I got you on social. So I knew you were. We got some great female listeners. We do. I love all of JAKIB Nation. I don't discriminate. All right. I don't discriminate. I love all of JAKIB Nation. Z, I was a listener only until you started hosting. Well, I will say this. I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but the demographics of the channel and like just if you look at the analytics of like before, when we had a lot of hosts who weren't, they don't own the channel. I mean, I run it. I own it. It's everything. This is my business. So it's much different when you have guys that are just on payroll or versus like me who actually cares about all the people who listen, who take time to spend on JAKIB. It's a much different scenario. It's a much different scenario now. So the numbers bear out that that's true too, Brandon, in terms of the growth of super chats, the growth of just community engagement, the growth of memberships, the growth of all those different things. So Dang says, Xander, what was the name of the viewer that lived in like Portugal or something? What do you mean? Portugal. I don't know. Trying to think. Portugal. I don't know, Dank. Xander, how'd you come up with the name JAKIB? I've explained this many times. My dad started JAKIB Media in 2010. Sports didn't start till 2020. All right, we launched sports together. JAKIB Media, JAKIB is an acronym for his 5 kids' names. J, his Joseph. A is me, Alexander. K, Kateri, my sister. I, Isabel, my sister. B, Brittany. That's where it is. Acronym for the first letter of my dad's 5 kids. First letter of their names. So, all right. I appreciate you all. You know, Kimberly, I think I would. Kimberly, I offered you the JAKIB hat today. I'll tell you this. I would go and reach out to you on X, but I'm pretty sure you blocked me on. Kimberly got very mad at me once last year. Kimberly, you know this. Kimberly, let me reach out to you on X so I can send you a hat. Oh, wait. Let me look. Let me go look. Kimberly, you might be. Let's go look. Let's go look. Let me go look. Kimberly. See, it won't even let. Yep. Oh, no. Yeah, I can't like it. Look. Why can't you like this post? This author has blocked you. Oh, no, Kimberly. No, Kimberly. Oh, man. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? No, Kimberly. She got me blocked. She got me blocked. I must have pissed her off one time, man. Kimberly, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean it. I promise. I promise, Kimberly. I didn't mean it. Holy moly, man. Red Sox are not winning tonight. YouTube is winning tonight. Or YouTube. Uh-oh, Martin shows up. YouTube isn't winning. I meant the Yankees are winning. All right. The Yankees are winning tonight. I've never seen someone run to unblock like that. Yeah, I don't know, man. Kimberly's got me blocked up. I forget, Izzy B. I forget. She got really mad at me for something last year. I'm not going to out her because I don't have a problem with. I like Kimberly. I actually like Kimberly. She's great. She's a great supporter and she's a smart football mind. But I forget. She got mad at me for something. I forget what it was. I really don't remember. I know she sent me some pretty nasty emails. But Kimberly, you know I love you. It's all love. You're emotional like me sometimes, all right? It is what it is. Yeah. Oh, man. Xander is done and dusted. I am. Kimberly has done and dusted me, all right? Kimberly got me. Oh, come on, Vitality. You know what I meant. You know what I meant. Wait, is Kimberly not even in here? We can't be talking about Kimberly like this if she's not even in here. Is she gone? She's gone. Does anybody see Kimberly? Got to have thick skin to deal with Xander. That's true, Izzy B. Ask my editors. I put them through the ringer too. Martin, Vince, we got to have a talk. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, everybody. All right. I'm just kidding. All right. I love all you guys. Appreciate everybody for listening today. Good show today. I really thought it was a good show. A lot of great commentary. As always, appreciate Chris Franklin for joining in. As always, I'm trying to get a couple guests on for tomorrow. I haven't had any success yet. I am going to reach out to Thomas Mott. I want to get Thomas Mott back on the show. I think he does a really good job. I'd like to get Josh Davis too. So we'll get a couple of those guys back on soon. Anybody you guys want me to reach out, you tell me and I can reach out to them. All right. But Oh, Izzy B, you didn't put shit in shit. What are you talking about? I love my sales segment, Brandon. Me and sales, it's my favorite segment on JAKIB every day. It really is. I love going back and forth with Cilio. He's a funny ass dude, man. I know not everybody likes Sills, but I find him to be very funny. All right. What happened, Abe? What happened on the QB school? I love the QB school. Yo, Abe, listen to this idea, Abe. You tell me if I'm crazy. Ready? Abe, you tell me. You tell me if I'm crazy. Cilio, while he's great at doing a talk show, he's also great at knowing how to break down defensive play, defensive tackles, specifically defensive line play. What about like a D-line school with Cilio? Wouldn't that be a good-ass idea? A D-line school with Cilio? On Patreon or something like that? I feel like that would be great. Now, remember, Abe, Cilio won't lift a damn finger for free. And he already makes buku bucks. You know, this dude's Cilio. So I'd have to generate some money, but I feel like that'd be a great idea. You tell me if I'm crazy though. Right? That'd be cool. I feel like I could use all 22 footage. I could use all 22 footage. I wouldn't be able to air it on JAKIB probably, but could be its own thing. Lord Brunson would be dope. I like Lord Brunson. I don't know if he'd come on, but I do like him. I think he does a decent job. I'll tell you what Lord Brunson's really good at. Lord Brunson is incredible at Twitter. He has Twitter in a tizzy every day. I love it. I love people who stir the pot, man. Lord Brunson, he stirs up the people on Twitter like there's no tomorrow. It's excellent. It's excellent work by him. It really is. All the nerds on Twitter. There's so many nerds on Twitter, man. Twitter is a cesspool. It really is. It's a cesspool. But all right, I love all you guys. Oh, it'd be dope if I could get him on, Abe. That's what you're saying. That's a good idea. Get BG to do it. I can't afford BG Dirty Air. I know. I wish I could, but I can't. I don't make money like that, man. Not yet, at least. Not yet. The goal is to get there one day, but the Green Machine Show with M. Reyes. M. Reyes, that's a losing show. I'm losing money from day one, Reyes. I'm losing money from day one. You know, this is a business, Reyes. Holy mackerel. Holy mackerel. All right. Is Kimberly back in here? Kimberly, I'm rereading this email you sent me last year, almost a year ago today. This is fucking hilarious. This is legitimately one of the funniest things I've ever read. I'm not going to out you because I'm not going to read it, Kimberly, because I do love you and I know that we've gotten past our differences. But Kimberly, this could be on the wall of fame for one of the best emails I've ever received. This could go on the wall of fame, Kimberly. I get a lot of hate emails. This could go on the wall of fame. All right. This could go on the wall of fame. It really could. Be good to get a fan. Charles, are you kidding me? Once a month, we do it every week after the Eagles games, man. The post game show. Come on, Charles. Everything will be – yeah, I know, Daz. You know so much more about playing defensive tackle than a guy who played on one of the best defensive tackles of all time, defensive lines of all time. Come on, Daz. I know not everybody likes Cilio for his Eagles takes, but be real. Come on, man. Come on. Cilio doesn't know how to play defensive tackle. Okay, I know, Daz. I know he doesn't. You hate his Eagles takes. That means he doesn't know how to play DT. Come on, man. Come on, man. Daz, I love you. Oh, you're talking about Secunda. Okay. My bad, Daz. My bad. Sometimes the chat fools me because I think shit's about me. One dude DM'd me the other day. Apparently I ripped him or something on the show. And he DMs me. He was like, yo, asshole, I wasn't even talking about you and you ripped me on the show. I'm like, sorry, dude. I can only react to what I see. I don't see every comment, contrary to popular belief. I can't see all the, we average about, let me look. We average about, I want to say north of 5,000 live chats like per show. All right. Let me look this up. Let me just look at like last week's because the data is still processing. Or I'll look at Mondays. Let me look here. Monday, analytics, audience, no, engagement, no, average of 55-minute viewer duration. You guys, I wish you knew how crazy that is. Average viewer, 55 minutes. Bro, that is nuts. Flat out nuts. In radio, it's like 6-minute average listen. Why can't I find that? It doesn't tell me, I guess. I thought there was an area. I don't know. There's a lot of analytics that I have to click through, but we get a lot of chats. This is why you get nasty emails in there. That's all right, Izzy. That's all right, Izzy. Jason, 55 minutes, just to clue you in on, and I'm not disrespecting you, Jason. 55 minutes average viewer is insane. Insane. That's unheard of. If you put my data in the, I did this data before. I did the data before. That's like higher than McAfee. It's higher than like all of Barstool Sport. Like we get 55 minutes is nuts. Average view, dude, that's crazy. Most people that have over 1 million views on a month on a channel, it's like average view is like 3 minutes, dude. Trust me when I tell you. This is why I always say there's a lot of YouTube channels that are bigger than us, or maybe who grow faster than us, or who have more subscribers than us, or who get more views on a video than us. But I will put our watch time against anybody. Anybody. Our viewers, they come and they stay. And that's why I don't care about growing quick, because I care about getting good viewers, not viewers that come and go and are flash in the pan. I don't like flash in the pan viewers. And if anything, it hurts my metrics. I like viewers that come, enjoy the content, and they stay. We got a lot of new viewers who do that, so that's a big part of it. But RC3 says, put LJ in the corner today. I will. Guys, if you see JD3 in the chat, holler at me, all right? I got to reach out to him. I don't know what's going on with the shirt. Okay? So, if you see him, if you see JD3, he's here a lot. He's one of our P1s for sure. Have him reach out to, or just tell him I'm looking for him. How do I send an email to you? Andrew, anybody can email me. I take all emails. I'm good with anybody emailing me. Zander at jakibsports.com. Okay, Zander at jakibsports.com. So that's how you can email me. Zander at jakibsports.com. All right. And if you want to give Vince some hate mail, no, Vince, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Vince. If you want to give Vince some hate mail, Vince at JAKIB Sports. Oh, Vince, I love you, buddy. All right. All right, guys. Good stuff. Good stuff. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Yeah, email him. All right. Email him some hate. Email him some hate. All right. Love all you guys. See you next time, everybody.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate, inside the locker room, and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.